Yo, welcome to First Smoke of the Day. We're back. Another episode. Let's go.
Big day, man. Yeah.
Episode 8.
We got a big guest, too. Two big guests.
I'm here co-hosting with Blackleaf.
What up, man?
C, Pat Gods. Who we got in here today, bro?
Bro, some big LA natives, right?
Actually smoking on it right now. Wow.
Some terpy shit. We got LA Family Farms in the house, man. The
LA Family Farms.
Thank you for having us.
Thank
you, guys.
Yo, you boys brought so much fire. I don't even.
And so we got LA Family Farms and we got George Hashington, right?
George Green Thumb.
George Green Thumb. Yep. Even doper.
Yo,
I like it.
Let's get it.
I'm one of 3 owners, my brother, my sister, and I.
Yeah, I'm the hash maker in the house, but we've been together for a long time. I mean, back to even my wedding days. But as family, that's what we like to say it. We've do everything from cleaning the floors to picking the strains to smoking them to washing them, doing the pheno hunts, helping out with just pushing everything we can. We do everything. We're hands on.
And I like that.
And we really are a single source facility. I mean, a lot of people claim they are, but we really do everything in house when it comes to rolling all our pre-rolls, to making the hash, to hunting, to growing it, to distributing it, to doing PADs. Patient Appreciation Day. I actually go in. So does George here. And we meet the customers firsthand because I think that's important. You only get one chance to make a first impression in the rec market. And we've watched a lot of people, friends of ours, make mistakes along the way. Everyone's forced to put any type of flower in a bag, rename it, call it whatever they want, and hope that that brand can sustain itself for years to come. But we really try to choose what we want in the bag. And it's important when you're spending that kind of money on an eighth, a high end eighth. I want something that I personally would buy. And I'm sure you guys feel the same way because you are cultivators. You are in the game. You know it.
100% agree, brother. I mean,
we're all consumers here first.
Yes.
Before we ever got into this business, I think we could.
And I mean, it's what he would want in his bag. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, how would you want your eighth? Would you want that big nug with a medium and a small nug? Or are you going to give a couple people a bunch of small nugs in your jar, or in your bag? And also just the thought, I mean, do you want to do a jar or a bag? There's so many thoughts that went into it. And I liked how you said that, man. Like, how would I want my flower as a business owner? I think that framework for your mind, that's the number one stance is how would I want this curated for myself? And if you would curate that for a heady guy like you, then everyone else is going to love it too.
I agree. And it's important what goes in the bag. And we really QC everything to make sure that it meets that standard. And it's, it's difficult. It's challenging. Yeah, it's the hardest thing we've ever had to do.
A lot of losses, a lot of learning,
a lot of L's.
A lot of times where we have actually committed to saying, you know what, this is not what we want to continue working with. Let's stop the production on this. And this is not what we're going to put out.
And people don't understand that that's not only money, it's time. Yeah. You say stop. That's stop. You got clones already. You got plants going in the ground. You got this next run already figured out. Oh shit. Well, we got another run and a half still before we can get rid of this one. People don't know.
There's so many variables, how deep it goes when you make decisions and how many departments it affects and how many people you have to explain it to and explain why and what we got to do to make it do it right.
But people will take the other road because most everything with big companies or corporations or whoever else, they make decisions based on money.
Yes, the balance sheet.
That's it. It comes down to making money with most companies. And with us, we feel like if we put the plant first and the flower first, everything else will fall into place. We believe that as a family. All of us believe that. And we hold true to that, truly.
I like that.
I've been growing since 1995 and my brother's been around plants since he's 13 years old. And my brother is truly the cultivator behind us. I do a lot of distribution. I pick the genetics, the branding,
There's always a creative with a business person.
So this is a
cool
family.
You got family.
Yeah, really. And my sister runs the day to day also with my brother.
Man, that's amazing. She
got into the business 7 years ago with us. We all have our own lanes. In the beginning, it was very tough. Very challenging. A lot of past issues that were never resolved that come up in business because you've never resolved them. But we've all tried and we all have our own lane now.
Do you mind if I ask, do you guys also live together?
No.
Man, that's even bad.
No.
Did you at any point?
No,
Or
I'm 46
from the-
years old.
Yeah.
You and your brother used to
Yes.
before, and then you
We did
guys
very
made
recently, like
a
2 years
decision
ago.
that it's in for your best of your health.
Yeah.
You got to live separate.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
true.
You can relate though. It's
Yeah.
tough.
We've always lived with plants too. And
Yep.
it's tough, having genetics and keeping them in a facility when you were legal or maybe when you weren't, living with it and dealing with it and coming home to it and doing it at your actual shop and coming home. It was challenging,
Nonstop.
and it was challenging for both of us, and we found our way through it. And, like I said, we have our own lanes now, and we stay to our own lanes, and we run things by each other, but it's working out really well.
I like that you found positions and you're holding tight,
True.
true to the mission.
Yeah.
It's what it takes.
It's an amazing feeling to work with these type of people.
Different.
Just their expectations and their level of dedication and love for what they want to accomplish. You have to acquire that by working with us, being in our crew.
And you can't teach that.
Yeah.
You either got it or you don't.
It's passion.
It is.
It's a lot of passion.
Truly.
Somebody told me you can't teach hunger. You can't teach grit. Like
No.
you just can't. It's you either got it or you don't. It's
Drive, passion, all that is really what is instilled in you from most likely your parents and your upbringing and who you are as a person. And we've taken that into cannabis. We all have different backgrounds. We all have careers. I was a craftsman for 22 years. We did libraries, theaters, kitchens. We had that attention to detail. That really helped us become really good cultivators.
absolutely.
Your background played a huge role in who you
Huge.
are today, and
Yes.
especially in the type of cultivator or the type of businessman that you are today, right? I mean, your
Yes.
moves are.
We're
So-
not college graduates, that's
No.
for sure.
Well-
We're built day to day.
And let me hit on something. So if you want to throw it back to your past, right? What was LA Family Farms, right? When you came up smoking, what
Yeah.
were you smoking, brother? Like, first smoke of the day. What was your first smoke? Way
When
back
I was
when.
growing up?
First time
Yeah,
smoking
man.
weed.
First time.
The first time I ever smoked weed, I wasn't sure what the weed was, but I know it was out of a prototype, those old
Yeah.
metal
Yeah,
pipes
the
that
brass
had the little
ones.
poker that would pull out the side
you
and you
can
could
clean
use it. And it was behind this place called Skateland in
you
the
and
valley.
my dad.
But in the valley,
Wow.
in the early,
So born and raised.
born and raised in 818,
Okay.
Damn.
Okay.
first
The mecca
Shout
of
out to the
cannabis.
818.
Mecca of OG, in my
Crazy.
opinion. Florida, I believe, is truly the place where it originated from. The Crippy, which we all know, the
Crippy.
presidential Kush, the Crippy, the OG, it all came from there. And our
But
buddy,
it wasn't being grown there like it was here.
no,
You guys
No.
had the
L-
amount,
LA
you had
owned it.
access. Like
Yeah.
even me being from there, I didn't see a lot of that. I saw a lot of crazy sativas and a lot of hybrids, but it's even that it wasn't the amount of weed. Like Cali, I bet you were. So what were you seeing back then? Like what was your first shit smoking? Was it Crippy or was it some like swag?
no, this was all before OG.
Wow.
This
okay.
was before OG. OG didn't exist when we first started growing. I forget the year they brought it back, but
Mhm.
they grew it for many years. And that cut was truly coveted for many, many years by an elite group of guys. A lot of other people that have been in the industry a long time that know some of the forefathers when it came to OG, which was what is truly the staple of Western cannabis as we know it.
Me being from Florida, we used to see, it's funny because I hear a lot about OGs in Florida. All the growers I knew, we had a crew of about 6-7 guys at our peak, and everybody was growing strains, but they were all hybrids or sativas. And when you think of Florida, you think of like pineapple, lemon, juices, guava. That's the type of shit we were growing. And that's what always spins my head is that Florida is known that it's like the OG spot. It just wasn't around Central Florida. That's for damn sure, because we were growing juicy fruit, blue mystic, Cali indica, blue cheese. We were growing random. I mean, I could go on and on, but it was nothing OG. The only thing that we had that was similar, and you've seen this, Joe, is that we had presidential Kush.
Yep.
Okay. And that I would say that's more like Afghani. That's like a mothball Kush versus it's nothing like OG.
No, it's not.
Yeah. And so that's the closest thing we had. So it's all interesting. And that's why I like to know, like me being from Florida and growing up there, and then you being from LA, which is we used to, no matter how big Florida is as far as like you're the weed guys, we always look up to Cali, bro. We were always, even in our height of growing, we were like, do you think that our stuff's as good as theirs? Because it was like, when you get a bunch, we knew how our 7 guys were. It's a whole different thing when you got 700 people, 700 growers, and we could never get any strains. We would pass them through our little community. I mean, what was it like growing up out here, bro? Where you're in the Mecca, and you're obviously your first time smoking was decent stuff.
Yeah, it was probably most of the strains we grew, or at least people that we knew grew, was like Skunk Number 1.
Fire.
Northern Lights.
Okay.
Yep. White Widow was very popular.
I love White Widow.
What was the one you mentioned here, Gabe, on the way here? Some of the strains we were growing.
But that's what you were smoking. The first time you smoked weed, you smoked something like that?
Yeah, it was Skunk Number 1.
God.
It was really huge back in Tahunga. A lot of guys were growing it over there.
Wow, bro. That's power for your first time smoking.
Yeah. Romulan Kush with my cousin. He grew Romulan and Hindu Kush. We enjoyed that very much. Those were more like landrace strains, a lot stronger. When you used to walk into a room back then with an eighth of weed, you'd walk in, all your boys knew you had weed. Mm-hmm. Weed was something different back then. It had a different palate. It was grown with different nutrients. It just was all around different.
Different terps.
Yep. One day that's going to come back.
I would love to see skunk, man. One of the first
Skunk Number 1 cut.
We had a skunk 44 that finished in 44 days. It was 45 days, whatever we said. But we had a super skunk. That was our cut we ran called Super. Oh my God. Lime green, crazy ass hairs, like almost like dark orange hairs. And just like LA Family Farms is saying, when you have it in your pocket, you walk in a room, the whole house smells like skunk. It doesn't matter. Even if you're smoking Skittles, the whole room smells like skunk. I haven't seen a skunk. I haven't seen that strain or anything even really like it since we grew it in 2002.
Yeah. It's not really around very much anymore.
No.
I'm sure people out there are growing it, but
they like today, the more palatable, fruitier terps. They want that more edible, palatable terp.
You know what I think every brand should do? Grow for themselves. I think everyone should stop growing the hype unless you love the hype, right? Have your hype. But man, if I could look back on a young Black Leaf and be like, bro, don't give up the fucking 4 or 5 strains when you juicy fruit. Don't give that. Don't give up the Prez. Some of these ones like you should have, if you have 12 strains to your brand, half of them should be stuff that you had from back way.
I have a lot of old strains, but there's so much new stuff, it's
and then the future that you have in seed packs.
It's and keeping all these, keeping all these strains is very difficult. It takes up space, and we know how much real estate costs in California. It's
no production value, so you're just sitting there taking money.
You still have your OG cut alive just to keep it alive, not for production.
Wow, you still have an old school OG cut.
Since early 2000s when we got it. We didn't get it as early as our friends did.
But it's the same cut.
It's the same cut, but it's truly a coveted cut. And if you can grow OG, honestly, I feel you can grow anything.
Very difficult.
Very difficult. Yep. And if you can grow it well, and if you can hit 3+ with it, which we have, you can with, a lot of people in the 90s and 2000 era, and even today we're using PGRs.
Yes.
And that's poison, really.
I've heard even good growers that I'll meet them. And then after I get to know them, I realize that they will use it, but some of them even use it in slight amounts. They'll use it like little bits but it's interesting because I've even heard it from good growers that I was like, oh, really? Oh,
look, everyone that has been growing.
Back in the day, we didn't know any better. This is what we were told.
Okay.
It wasn't until we found out that, that stuff's bad for you. Yeah. That's when we're like, we shouldn't be using this no more.
We didn't know that phospholode.
When they were selling it to us on the shelves, this was like, dude, this thing's going to make your thing big. It's going to make your bloom boosters. That's what they were telling us.
Yeah. They were just giving you tack. Like, here goes marketing. From 2 pounds to 3 instead of,
and they were
this is what's actually
at the
happening.
Store, so you trusted them. You didn't realize that what you were putting in there was actually poison until the research was done.
Yeah.
And then as that research came about, then we said, we don't want this. We smoke our weed.
Yeah.
There's other people that don't smoke their stuff, but we're like, hell no, we smoke our weed.
We're that next generation. We're that X generation. So
unfortunately, we smoked that weed though.
But the future, future smokers are actually going to have clean weed and not ever be exposed to that, which is great for cannabis.
Yes,
it's amazing.
That's one of the reasons we came in.
If you test dummies.
Yeah. If you can grow good weed, you don't need any of that.
Well, we actually know too what causes PM and why we have like people are trying to get around these problems and they're spraying their plants with certain things. We're learning now these days. We know why things happen. So then you're like, oh, let's just fix the problem instead of fixing it after the fact and having to spray. And that's the thing. Like I remember in 2008,
Prevention.
in 2007 and 8, those issues, that was like, oh, you use this to fix that. And it's like, no, you don't. You fix the problem. You take you have a flat tire. You actually fix the tire. You don't blow it up and then put bubble gum on it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? But that's what we're learning as growers. And it's so crazy because things are changing so fast now. And that's LA, bro. How different was LA when you guys were coming up growing when you first started?
Yeah, I mean,
crazy.
We started with one light, just like everyone else, I grew with a parabolic reflector. We had mylar on the walls. And oddly enough, the first grow I ever had, the very first grow I was soil. It didn't work out. I didn't do well with soil. My uncle called it the torture chamber. I scrapped it. I started over. I went to Foothill Hydroponics and in the valley, and the guy there was a complete asshole always. He knew exactly what you're growing. He always asked you what you're growing. And like, I'm growing tomatoes. Come on. He knew you were lying. But
and it was even like that out here. That's so crazy to hear. Cause I think in Florida, we were like that. We would borrow friends' cars and give them an eighth and be like, oh, I gotta move today. I gotta help my sister move. And then I would take their car to the grow store. Cause like, God forbid their license plate gets run. Like it ain't going back to my grow house,
right?
Where your car's registered. So we would borrow friends' cars I would do that every 3-4 weeks. We'd go and borrow a friend's car, load it up and then literally be like looking behind us, sketching out. I mean, we would go to lunch, park back there, see who followed. It would be a whole day event picking up some rock wool.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly.
He advised me, the guy from Foothill, he's like, you can grow in slabs and salts, which that was the first time I ever really grew successfully. And it was in slabs, and salts is exactly what we're doing today, which is kind of crazy.
What year would this be?
95, right?
1995. Yes.
Wow, bro.
So,
wow.
What year did you smoke for your first time?
1989. I was in 9th grade.
So 6 years later, you were you threw up a light.
But my sisters they were younger than me. They were smoking way before me.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were like,
when you got family like that and older siblings, you start young.
Well, I was the oldest. They were younger. They smoked before me.
They were the bad influence on you.
I didn't smoke until I was, a little bit older than them, but they smoked before I did.
What was the first time you saw a grow? It was shortly after, like your first real grow. You were like, because I mean, coming from LA, you think like, oh, everyone's around it.
First real grow was probably one of Josh D's grows.
Oh my God.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fucking legendary.
That was probably one of the first grows I ever saw. My brother took us to. My brother was more friends with them than I was. My brother's really, he was young at 13, but when we finally got the OG cut, he just kind of huddled away by himself and grew OG for many years and figured it out, and really was the secret to our success.
So you and Josh D crew go that far back?
My brother goes back with some of them. We always kind of knew each other. We talked, but back then it wasn't legal and people weren't sharing information a lot. And
your crews rubbed elbows.
Yeah.
That's how we used to put it too. We had, I knew of other crews in Central Florida and other places, and we would get their herb and we like, oh man, that crew over there grows some skunk. We got to get that cut. But we knew there were other crews around. We just, like our homie would know one of their homies, right? But it was them.
That was the thing. We knew a guy. It was a guy named Doobie. His name was Doobie. He was in a wheelchair. He sold the best weed, and he would sell at rates of 5,600 plus, 64 and up. I think Joel told me he sold some packs for 8,000 back in the day in LA.
Wow.
It's different when you're getting that on the East Coast, but in LA to get that at that time was huge. And these guys were like, Doobie especially was like a guy that was the connection to everyone. He knew all the biggest growers. He knew all the biggest brokers. A guy named Kodiak, which was still a good friend of ours. He was a legend in the game as well. A guy named Guido that I met recently. He's also been in the game a long time. We are all like 1 degree of separation away from all these guys, but never knew it until recently, we came into the rec game and we've met more people. And, really social media has allowed all of us to meet.
You're
correct.
I never would have met you, know? We all kind of have that same story, so to speak.
Yeah. I think a lot of people don't understand too, how much talk goes on in the DM.
Yep.
Like, I mean, we communicate and we'll have a 30-minute convo once every month or two, or we'll have an hour. And it's just random times you have these deep convos with random people where we've had sometimes days of conversation with people before I actually ever meet them.
For sure. We looked up to like King's Garden.
Yes.
Like in the beginning, like King's Garden, like these rooms, like 100 light rooms. Oh my God.
Amazing looking
Like
rooms. Truly,
they were like the staple, the real IOG. He had 100 light rooms.
Yes.
At that time, no one really had that. And, as builders, as we are, I'm a general contractor as well, and growers, we admire that. We'd look for that on Instagram and like, oh, like, look at these rooms. Look how they're building it. Oh, these guys are doing this. Jungle Boys, Jungle Boys were really the staple of LA, like how you built a grow.
Branding,
the whole Netafim and Netaflix came from them.
Big shout out Jungle Boys.
Yeah.
I mean,
Straight up. That's
much respect.
you know what it takes. And that's what, as a GC, you're looking at it and you're like, I know how much money and time and effort and then planning and how many times they did it the wrong way to get to where now when they build a room, they're like, no, it needs to be like this. And you're like, well, no, we should probably, no.
Yeah.
It needs to be like this.
And it is a live moving vessel.
Yeah.
And you have to have a captain who is on point. And he is like, he's referred to him. He's been the key to the whole success of this because his attention to detail and dedication. So this guy is actually the guy who's making the stuff, following the charts, feeding the plants, doing these things behind the scenes.
Hell
and,
yeah.
And the way we water,
super dialing in.
Talk us through the setup. Talk us through the setup.
I think the grow we built was really based on all the experience that we've really led up to, the grows that we built. We really learned from like comfort cooling, how most of these grows that are built have comfort cooling. Most of the grows have air supply on the top and return on the top. It never makes sense to us. We actually built a wall that's a return wall. So we're actually cycling air from the top to the bottom. And this was an idea that we came up with Critical Climate that actually helped us design. This is a guy named Marcus who owns it, and really trying to push the levels of what we can do as far as control.
Yeah.
Because really most lights are pretty much almost the same. There's other lights that are better than others, like Gavitas or Luxes, like what most people use, but climate is really the key. So when we built this facility, we really put a third of the build of the cost into climate.
Huge concern. I brought it up on the previous podcast, talk about 3 staples in cultivation: environment, controlling your environment, number one, because that's you not getting botrytis. That's you not getting PM. That's you not getting other issues that have to do with swings, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
even just your harvest numbers are really have to do with your environment a lot of times. Next is your genetics. You better have good genetics because that's what's going to take you to that. And then the third part is your irrigation. I always bring this up.
Plant steering.
What you're feeding and how you're feeding them, meaning how much time, how many minutes, and then what is going into those plants feeding, right? What nutrients. Those 3 things is the mastery of cannabis. Like if you want to become a grower, if someone would have told me it would have been 18, 19 years ago now when I started, figure out these 3 things and you'll know cannabis in a nutshell.
For sure. Irrigation, especially.
There you go.
Irrigation is the key to all of it, in my opinion.
Can you get into that?
These guys are really guys who we had learned from, and we're still learning. My brother's still figuring it out.
New.
When you build a 27,000 square facility of 500 plus lights and you harvest every other week, you have a limited time to be able to get these rooms dialed. And, it's tough. Brands can suffer. That's why we put limited batches. I'm not in very many dispensaries. I'm in the right dispensaries.
Yes.
But really kind of picking and choosing what goes in the bag is really key, because when you're dialing a facility, as you know, it's difficult, it's challenging. And this is all new ground for everyone. No one's built these facilities of this scale and really have been doing this for many, many years, except Jungle Boys and King's Garden and those guys. They've been doing it for quite a long time. And we know how challenging it is. And of course they know, and
we're here now on our 3rd round, barely just touching our 3rd cycle.
For rec. 14 runs we're in. We're about to harvest the 15th run in a couple weeks.
Man, that's huge. Congratulations on that, bro. It is.
That's 3 times per room. So that only gives you from the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So we're still dialing in these rooms, man.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It always, realistically, in a new facility, you're talking 9 months before you're in full stride. 3 crops, in my opinion, 3 crops out of a room with the same strain in that room. you're at full stride, meaning like, okay, here we go. This is what we can expect from this room.
As long as you keep same strains in rotation. And that's what my brother hates about what I do is like genetics. Like
You
I don't
brought
want
so many jars of fire.
I don't want people to get used to the same genetics. It's like, if I name something a different name from what it is, I'm telling people what it is. If you're smart enough to look at my menu and say, hey, Fujitsu is sour apple animal cookies. Okay, what's that? That's apple fritter. Yeah, well, it's bag seed from apple fritter. We hunted it. We found it. We renamed it. You know, that's important for me because I think the consumer really needs to know what they're smoking. And eventually they're going to want to know.
I totally agree, man.
You know,
totally agree. I like, and you brought some absolute flavors, bro. A lot of crazy Skittles crosses, a lot of what me and basically Pack Gods talk a lot about is fruit and gas or candy gas.
Candy gas.
And that's, we bring that up a lot, man.
Talk about some of these jars you brought. And then also you being a general contractor, dive into that a little bit. Like when you're doing a 500, light facility, this is no joke. 27,000 square feet.
Millions.
We designed it. We funded it. We built it, we operate it, we distribute out of it, we do the branding. The crew is really what allowed us to be where we are.
Yes.
You guys know that.
Without our team behind us, we were not able to bring this to the market the way it is.
And every person that works there, I know every person's name that works there. I know them personally. I don't have a relationship with every single one, but I would like to one day. I want that kind of family vibe, and it can be a double-edged sword because you're like friends with these people and you have love for them, but you also their employer,
That's the hardest part for me.
To separate business.
For me, that's the hardest part is I become friends with everybody and then I crack the whip. And they don't know where the line is. And I'm like, well, would you rather me just be a dickhead all the time? Like, where's the line for me? Like, I'm a friendly guy, but at the same time, when you don't do your job, I got to tell you, or I got to ask.
By example,
it's tough. Exactly.
We lead by example. We work as hard as the next guy.
I love that.
And I feel that that's really why we have the crew we do because they respect us.
Yes.
Most importantly.
Yep. We're right in the trenches. We're in the line. When we're taking down a room, all of us are there taking part in that take.
When you're planting a room, when you're cloning, when I do the same thing, man, when we took over this last garden, I was in there like, this is what we're doing. Like, even when we're doing dumb shit, like mopping the floors, when we're doing, just tedious work, it's like, all right, well, let's do it together. Let's go, and
that's part of what makes it grow work.
Especially in the beginning, man, especially until you build that team that everyone has that respect and everyone knows. I love what you said when we started this is that everyone plays their role.
Everyone has their own lane.
Yeah.
Everyone does. And if you're good at what you do, stay in that lane.
And don't micromanage. Don't be looking over to the other person's lane, making sure. I mean, let people do their thing and you guys are able to just all run.
For sure.
I love that.
Everyone has their strength. And if you allow them to use their strengths, that's key. When we came into this, we're like, okay, we want to get people that are a crew just to de-leaf, but really, you need people that are versatile, that can be a hand roller, that can help you de-leaf, that can help you break down a room.
I hear this more and more.
It's like, we want to find people that are more like us.
And
Jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades.
We're also finding that they enjoy the ability to learn these different things inside the facility. They actually get to feel a part of everything that we're doing. Is doing the same thing over and over. The
monotony
is can get boring
in the same place.
But once you get to rotate them around, then they start to understand what we're actually trying to create here.
Got it.
And that's what we say. This is a feeling. This is not just a job where you show up and you put things in a box and you push it away. It's like
pride.
No,
There's pride.
That's why on my bags I put for the love of the game.
Yeah, I
truly,
love that.
You got to have love for this,
man. And just to say, like, I love that. I love that. And that's when it says LA Family Farms. I mean, that's where the family comes from. It's that side of things. And it means a lot. And I love that about you guys, man. And I fucking love this new packaging. Your new packaging is off the chain, man. Your colors that you guys picked for this are really beautiful, man. And I know
those are LA colors, purple and gold,
100%. But the shades you guys used, I just love it. There's a lot of, anyone could do purple, but this isn't just that. This is like, it's nuanced. It's a beautiful package, bro. And
I appreciate that.
I'm guessing that when you built out your grow, like Pat God said, you probably use the same nuance to build out the cultivation from your GC standpoint. Is that the case?
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of details in those
DPS panels
that people don't know about.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm guessing with your grow is probably the same. You guys put a ton of work in the back end.
We put a lot of money into it, a lot of our own money. And
a lot of seed chasing, a lot of
pheno hunting.
Oh man,
I love it.
Which makes you guys no money. Doesn't make you any extra.
No.
It's just you want a new strain and you don't want to grow what everyone else is growing. So you're going to spend your money and your time and chase down something on your dime. And that's oceanfront real estate, right? So because what you're paying for that real estate in your grow, that's oceanfront real estate.
Truly.
And now you decided, you know what? For people to have something that they can't get from anyone else, I want to spend my own money to see if I can get that for them. I mean, people don't understand that that's really what it takes. And I'm opening up something, and this is why I want to say this. Fucking peach pie, bro. Woo. Mm-hmm. I can smell it when I opened it up. I just smoked the other one that was
we call it over the rainbow, but it's
rainbow.
Rainbow on rainbow. Rainbow belts with rainbow belts rosin.
Man,
that's what we entered in this.
I'm about
Olympics.
to light this
Shout
up.
out to Green Wolf, Brian Ace. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Love you.
Yes, sir.
But man, this is a beautiful joint, dude. You guys, and so these are available to people. This one I'm lighting up right now.
Yep. It's available in a lot of stores. Cookies, lemonades. Yeah.
Dude,
Calma.
you picked a crazy. Yeah.
Talk about it.
There's a special mouthpiece on this joint.
Yes, this is the love of one of our most favorite creations that we had to come up with. This is something that we didn't just like, all right, let's just make this real quick. No, we had been working on pre-rolls and smoked all kinds of pre-rolls on the market. We've always been so disappointed with what a pre-roll is offered on the rec market. And as we entered into the rec market, we realized how big the pre-roll market is. And so we decided if we're going to put a pre-roll on the market, we're going to put something that we want to smoke.
I love hearing that again.
We like something that gets us lit and does the job the way we enjoy it.
Yep.
So that's what caused us to create this joint. So we went off with the custom glass mouthpiece on it. You notice that it's actually two sizes. It's got the 12 millimeter, then we got it down to the 8, just like a size of a straw.
Super cool. It's like graduated. It goes from one size to the next. I haven't seen this with anyone else's mouthpieces. It's long, it's glass. The whole setup is different, man.
When you're smoking a hash hole, you have to understand that it's hot. It's hot on your throat. And if you're smoking, like this is only 1 gram with 0.33 of rosin. And there's a lot of great hash holes out there, but we just chose to go this route.
Yeah, great one.
Great hash hole.
This is different though. I would buy both these and I enjoy both. These are different. His is more like a joint. This is like a spliff or like, this is just different. It's like, I don't know, man. I love them both.
It's a different design joint, and we haven't seen a hash hole or a pre-roll like this. And this
one's a Lambo and one's a Ferrari.
Yeah, they're both.
That's what we're looking at. That's exactly
just even for the consumer to be able to get something hand rolled like this. I mean, talk about the process that it takes to really make these.
Oh man!
Thank you to our team that we have put together one by one by one by one. Our team, I'm telling you. When we actually get people to sit down and attempt this, we've had joint rollers who say, I'm the best joint roller you've ever seen. And they quit the next day. Okay? Because this is not your typical rolling joint paper. We have an attention to detail. Like at the end of the day, I have to QC them. I go by every joint. I make sure that they're not covering the LAFF, the LA Family Farms logo with the paper. I want to make sure that the paper is showing the glass little sparkly ice pinches that holds in that crutch, because we put that crutch, that crutch has to be
inside.
That helps be like the radiator. It helps cool that smoke down, keeps the weed from going through as well.
Wow.
So that way, it gives you a nice handle. You can actually hold it. You can pass it.
Yep.
And then you can reuse the tip. It's actually a 3-in-1. We've designed it that way where after you're done with it, you can stick another joint on the inside like I did with you guys earlier.
Did you see that?
How I used another joint, just pass it in there. Or
use it a sneak-a-toke.
Sneak-a-toke. My wife loves to put the weed right in the little glass tip, take a couple of rips, and she's good. You just blow out the ash.
Pat Gods, you got to see what he's talking about. He took this glass tip.
I did. We smoked.
Man,
just hit it. It was amazing,
dude. I love that you guys thought about that. And after you smoke, let me explain this. After he's talking about once you smoke basically the donut, you're able to take your own joint and slide it inside because of the graduation of this mouthpiece. And it basically becomes a mouthpiece for any other joints from there on out.
During COVID, people don't want to share.
So you got your own little private pocket mouthpiece.
Man, I love this idea. I love that. And you're giving someone something extra for their money.
Exactly. It comes
I'm able
with every donut joint.
Man,
most joints that you buy, whether it's a hash hole, donut, whatever you want to call it, or a regular pre-roll, people throw it out. It's done. You know, the fact that you can actually keep something and have it and it has a logo on it.
And I would use it.
You know, I look at it like this. Look, these things are not, they're not cheap. Okay. To somebody who's spending their good hard-earned money to buy one of these, I want them to enjoy the experience. We're not just selling them a pre-roll like, here, smoke some weed. No, we grew this weed. We made the hash from this weed all in-house with our love, blood, sweat, and tears, literally. And we want you to enjoy this experience. And that's why when we put it together, we're like, all right, when they pull this out, we want them to have a really good time and enjoy the end of the night. We used to call this the nightstick because it was basically at the end of the night, all you needed was one of those, one to the head, and you're good.
Hell yeah. You're like getting punched in the crack with a nightstick.
It's really for your everyday smoker. The everyday smoker that smokes flower all day long. When they get home, if they smoke flower, they're not getting that high.
No.
This is the next step.
Yeah.
This is where you can just light up, share it. And if you don't want to smoke the whole thing, most people, I challenge them, smoke the whole thing. Go ahead.
I love it.
Try by yourself. Try.
We do.
If we do, but it took time.
Yes.
You know, we can if you're not finished, you can actually put it back in the tube with the mouthpiece down and the air will close it out in a minute and you can light it up back. You don't need to actually put it out on an ashtray. You can just snuff it out. That's it.
And this thing get me cheese.
And you know what? Somebody else have told me that they enjoy it so much that when they actually buy them, they will break it up and smoke it in little bong loads. And I'm like, you serious? And they're like, yeah, it tastes so good because it's got the rosin in it still.
No, this is fire herb. I can tell. And this is my second one now I'm smoking. And this one's even crazier than the other one I smoked the flavor wise. And this is a great, man, you guys curated a great product here. And I just want to go back to that you were explaining when you first got here how long it takes. You say some people an hour and they can only do 8 of them.
That's our best.
That's best person.
Best of the best.
8 hash holes in an hour. It's that difficult to get
60 a day.
When the first
50 to 60.
When we have somebody first start with us, I try to explain to them that you're not here to make as many joints as the other people that you see making. I go, I'd rather you make me 10 really good, perfect joints than make me 20 and half of them be bad. And I said, so let's not focus on speed and not get caught up on, they're rolling 8 an hour. I said, because you're not going to do that. I said, what I want you to do is roll me one good one.
Just think about that, though.
Another good
8
one.
In an hour. I just want to say that's how much time is getting put into something that you're like, oh man, it's kind of expensive. You know, like, man, you got someone, they grew it, they made the hash, they curated this, they rolled it up, and they're only able to make 8 of them in an hour for you, bro.
And please,
that's the best though. That's not everybody's doing that.
And that's what I'm saying. That's amazing.
So we're talking 5 an hour.
And what goes into this, you see what goes into it. And people, if they're paying anywhere from $40 to $50 for one pre-roll, we want it to be something that I can put my name behind and my family and George. And because we take pride in what we do. And I think sometimes that's lost in the corporate cannabis because they're just too much of in a rush to put everything into a bag. And there's no QC. You know, I can't even tell you how many joints we don't use. Like, because either it has a leaf over the monogram or the seam isn't exactly folded correctly. It's more of an angle. We toss that. We really, we have a detailed background and that's, comes from construction and carpentry and having that attention to detail when it comes to building high-end homes.
And now you're building a high-end brand, and you know that high-end brands don't put out product that they wouldn't be proud of. And and you guys are building something great, man. We're
learning from the best. We watch what like the Connected Cannabises are doing or the Alien Labs or even, shout out to Wizard Trees and Dio Farms and those guys. Those guys are in Doja. Those guys really, we watch what they're doing and, we all are competing against each other in a way, but we all admire each other.
Yeah,
Yes.
Truly.
Absolutely.
Because we
feeding
all
off each
feeding
other's
off each other, like making each other better.
I like to look at us all like athletes, you know.
Yeah,
you like to
absolutely.
see
Off the court,
like
it's-
we're all like looking at each other and we're all trying to play as hard as we can. And you know what? You got to appreciate that, man, because we know what it takes. And you're like, damn, they're fucking doing it too.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
some shit.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
straight
So
up.
And you know, being a single source facility and truly being all in house, really, I take pride in, because not many places can say that they actually do everything in house. A lot of places want to outsource pre-rolls, want to outsource hash, everything, you know, manufacturing in general, or even packaging your ACE.
yeah,
You know,
it's
like,
time consuming.
you know,
That's for sure.
Giving
You know,
someone a
doing it
unit
in-house.
and having them package it, you know, like if we package out of one unit, we're not getting 128 ACE.
No.
We're getting like 100,
if that.
if that. Yeah.
No, there's so much when we're packaging. We went over that today. They were packaging eighths. I had to call Joe and I said, hey, bud, you know, I really need to we need to make a decision, because with the packs that we're putting in, I know you wanted X amount of units, but based on where we're going, I think we need to be a little bit more worried about the quality that we're getting versus the quantity you want to get. And Joe says, I understand. Then only make the best of the best that we can get, and don't worry about where it gets us.
Yeah, because we don't
That's
want to
it.
put too many smalls into a bag, because when you're paying that price, someone opens a bag and they see 10 smalls, they're going to be like, what the fuck is this? I'm never coming back. And you know,
They don't understand that costs you money.
Yes,
does,
they
it
don't
does.
see this
They
stuff.
don't see it.
Nobody knows this stuff.
nobody,
man.
but we're now sharing it with the world.
Yes.
Really. Because, you know, first
we,
smoke of the day is going to blow the fuck up.
because when we tell,
Let's get it.
as we're packaging, we say, look, this is the last chance we get before the consumer gets to get the presentation. You know, it's like, yeah,
You're the
we
last line
we
of
got
defense.
pictures. We got all this great stuff. We got a beautiful facility.
Yeah.
We bust our ass.
Yes.
You know, 15-hour days. Like, this
Mhm.
is not a joke here. And then we're just going to be like, here's some weed.
No,
Like, no,
Nope.
hell no.
hell no. Because
Hell
everyone
no.
would quit.
And it starts at the
dude.
top.
Wanna
It doesn't
come.
work
You wouldn't
like
wanna
that
show
with us,
up.
bro. It doesn't work. It's not worth it. It's like, dude, we work way too damn hard.
And
to
honestly,
not
this
put our
all
best
starts
forward.
at the top with us, my brother, my family, my sister,
Shoot.
you know, my
Lead by
sister.
example.
His
My sister, seriously, fucking runs
The
that
champ,
facility.
man.
Wow.
She is.
I love this lady. She is the heart and soul. I mean, she is
Truly.
the woman. Look at the dudes that she's got to deal with. You know what I mean?
And she, what specific role?
When A boys.
What specific role does she play in the business? Does she have a specific task, like duties?
Every part of the company.
Okay, so she's the overall umbrella.
So he,
She's in more parts of the company than my brother and I are, because she deals with the office, the taxes, the
Everything.
accountant, the
Oh,
metric,
man.
cultivation, the
Everything.
schedule, everything. You know, she's in
Wow.
every department.
Yeah.
She's
The glue. She's the
she-
glue.
It
that
was my
binds
brother and I
everything.
for most of our lives. But now we know we all need each other, and we know how powerful each
Dude.
one of us are in this company. She's a full partner, and she deserves every last penny.
Dude, the way this is literally
Absolutely.
like Voltron, or like, you know what I'm talking about? Like it's
Yeah.
like Power Rangers, like you put the forces together. You know what I mean? It's like,
It's
It's
rare that
unstoppable
you can have
when it's
a
working.
family that could actually
That-
work together. You know, we battle. Don't get me wrong. We have our
This
battles.
is it, man. I might have to pitch you on a TV show after this, big dog. This is sounding too good right here,
This would be a
man.
good TV show.
I want to
Cool
see for
stuff,
myself,
dude.
bro.
It's some
You guys
cool
are always
stuff,
welcome
buddy.
to come by the facility and see it and
Man,
see
that
it for
would-
yourselves. You know, most Instagram, social media pages like to show just the flower. I show everything. I'll show the facility. I'll show my mom room. Yeah, there's sulfur in our plants. That ain't PM. And I ain't scared of it because I ain't hiding
Straight
nothing.
up, straight up.
You know?
straight up.
You know,
You're
it's
like, no, it's actually in veg. It's supposed to actually supposedly help the plant bring out terpenes later in flower, and it's one of the best preventatives for one of the scariest bugs in the market.
Yep.
Fucking
And PM.
mites and PM.
Yeah.
So why? And we didn't know this honestly.
And it's cheap as fuck.
And people really didn't know this until the last few years that, you know, micronized sulfur is what you're talking about.
Well, the indoor market didn't know about it, but really big ag
Knew
and-
about it.
And everyone that has grown outside up north in Humboldt County has known about this. It's their ace in their back pocket. They
And
know about it.
We're just slow. It's
Yeah.
weird because the cannabis market we're slow to accept big ag. we take on all these home remedy bullshits like, you know, Ed Rosenthal spray or all these random sprays that are like lemongrass. Not to say they don't work, but
Dr. Bonner's.
yeah,
soap,
you know, but then you find out like, no, but then Big Ag also uses the scary shit, like, you know, all the stuff, your Eagle 20 and all that nonsense. But it's dope because like what you're saying, okay, micronized sulfur on veg, especially this is what I like. And this is why I don't like what people hate. Man, you bring in sometimes growers, like we have to bring in strains from other people's gardens. If I do that, I need a fucking arsenal of products to be able to battle whatever problems that fucking guy brought to my garden.
For sure.
So when people want to immediately come down, like, why would you have that? What are you doing with that? Right? Well, what do you mean? Look at other people's gardens. It's you have to build that repertoire.
I'll take PM and mites any day on a clone, any day
if it's the right strain,
rather than hop latent. Hop latent virus.
Man,
or
touch on that because I don't think a lot of people know about what you're talking
fusarium, about. You know, these are things they're not death sentence to facilities because you can mitigate it or find a way to replenish your mom stock at maybe another legal spot to be able to do that. But not everyone has that, you know, that capability. The clones that we get all come from legal nurseries. But when I get those clones, if I do, it's rare because I have to if a clone is coming to our facility, it has to come through a legal nursery.
Yeah.
So if I'm getting anything at any time, which is rare now, but when I do it testing not only with one lab, I do it with 2 labs. And I don't tell each lab what I'm doing. I see if these cuts are coming back with hop latent viruses. Some labs might show for some cuts.
What are you seeing? Tell us what you're seeing. You're seeing it.
And there's a way to take cuts to where off the plant. So if you're getting a clone, every internode, every branch, you want to be able to take at least a little snippet of a leaf off each set of internode branches. Take it off the whole plant. You're not just taking off one little snip. You're taking a bunch
of different stages of the life.
Yeah, of growth in the plant. So if the plant is 6 inches tall, it has 8 leaf sets. You're taking off each set. That actually allows you, because you can test off one branch and actually pass testing, but the other part of the plant might actually test positive. So it's like, that's why if you've ever seen this before, which I have seen it on farms, I've been lucky enough not to see it in our facility.
I've seen it in a few places already.
It shows it on one branch.
Legal clones. I don't want to see it. Have you had stuff test positive from?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I wanted to get to that. I want people to know that. I don't want you to breeze over that because we bought we bought clones for a legal facility that I basically consult for, right? And we had to kill about 800 of the clones out of 2,500. We killed about 800 of them from HL. And
you got off easy, brother.
At first, I didn't know why though. At first I thought, man, they took a lot of shitty cuts and lowers cuts. And then over the last year, 8 months, I've learned, no, those were actually infected. And And remember when I used to bring up pack odds to you when we were running lowers cuts? I used to say, that's actually HLV. That's hops latent virus.
That's why some plants
we're getting plants with viruses and we're passing it through the water and through feedings. And
that's exactly how it's.
And remember when nugs would not look the same. The nugs from the same strain will be like hairier and won't have the terps. And we're like, oh, that's a lowers cut, or, oh, that's not a good cut. No, that's actually HLV. I've seen it in my facilities before we knew what it was. This is going back 5 years ago now.
People call it Dudding disease. I think it's called Dudding as well.
It's 100% called Dudding.
So it can show on one branch of a plant, and it can show on one plant on one branch in a room of the same strain.
Yes.
It can show on just one plant.
What are you seeing with it? I see a lot of expressing of when I've seen it. It's like female pre-flowers are very long. So you look at the plant and you'll see the pre-flowers of the plant will be very long and extended. And you'll get skinny branching that breaks very easily, where the branching will go lateral to the sides and it won't come up. And then if you just put a little bit of pressure on the actual branches of the plant, they'll snap right off. You don't even have to tug or push. It's almost like it's a fragile thing. Like also we've had them where I don't water it in time and it'll die immediately. It won't even give you a second. Oh, wow. It's a weak plant that's just propped up by its looks.
It is. My buddy from Pound Cake Farm, actually, he can actually spot it in a room. He's very good. He has an eye for it. I haven't been around it, but I've seen it in farms. But if I ever had an issue, I would obviously call him. But I test everything, which is
Awesome to hear.
why I do it. And I test it with multiple labs. And I've learned from other people that have dealt with this by just having friends in the industry.
The money now, which is
costs $90.
It's not,
it's $90.
So I'm
It's
guessing
so worth it.
TC Labs next for you guys. I'm guessing at some point you guys are going that route.
Tissue culture, for me, probably not, because I hunt everything, and if everything is from seed, which you can get hop lane from seed too,
but you're good about not bringing other strains in, so you're pretty much.
And if I do, I test it.
Yes.
And if it has any bugs or any powdery mildew, and look, you can get rid of that. You can just quarantine that. So it's just really about viruses, and you can clean up cuts of hop lane without tissue culture. You can do it.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Cult Classics. He has data from it, and he can do it. If he can do it and he says he claims to do it, I believe him.
Great breeder, by the way.
Great
Cult
breeder.
Classic breeds some great strains.
Yep.
We had his Enchanted Cookies. He's been known for a couple really good strains. I want to touch on that though. Talk about cleaning up strains. That's a normal thing for us cultivators that really do this shit. I want to touch on that. Some of these people, that want to breeze over, man, when we first got Purple Punch, it took us about 9 months before we could actually bring it in the garden. It had spider mites, it had issues, and I didn't know this till I just knew it had a problem, and I could tell there was issues with it. We didn't know how many problems, but we knew let's just start attacking it with different remedies, right? Then come to find out the other two guys who also got the same cut from the same guy, were like flipping out. They're like, fucking spider mites in our garden now, And I was like, oh shit. Yeah. I didn't trust it to begin with. So we put it in the garage, and we spent 3 to 4 mom cycles. So we let it get big, sprayed it, defoliated, spray, dunk, spray, and then cloned it out. Did that 3 to 4 times over. It took us about 6 to 8 months. And then finally I scoped it and felt comfortable. I didn't see anything. We brought it in the garden, and it killed me because people were already growing the Purple Punch at the time. And we had it for like almost a year, but I couldn't grow it because the person who had it was on some outdoor farm in Oregon, and it had
you had some of the best
mites.
Purple Punch. I bought it.
We dialed that shit in, and that's what I used to pride myself in. Is like
You're the reason I got my Purple Punch cut.
There. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
nice.
I would bring I would buy your stuff, and
if only we would have fucking known, man. Holy
I would.
I would have loved to have been homies like 6-7 years. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
It's a small world, man, isn't it?
It's a really small cannabis community.
Yeah.
At this level, it's really like everyone kind of knows of each other or knows each other.
And when you do dirt, everyone knows about it. And when you're a good person, everyone knows about it.
Truly. I want to be known mostly for, as a family, I want to be known for being good people too, good business. And, you can buy cannabis from anywhere. Would you want to support a family that truly has love for the game? Truly?
Yeah.
And has good morals and ethics, and has, great people that work for them. And, people can dream about this, but we're living it now.
Yeah, straight up.
Yeah, man.
Living a dream.
I love that.
We couldn't even imagine dreaming. The way that these guys built this facility is literally like you're walking in the inside of a computer.
It looks insane on your page.
Amazing.
On your page. I go to your page a lot, and I'm like, oh man, I dream about what my grow room's like. Oh God, one day.
And there's tons of things that we would change about it now.
But that's because you're good at what you do.
Yeah. It's like we went back and forth from like, do we want to have 8 rooms, 9 rooms, 5 rooms,
it took
4 rooms?
2 years to build the facility.
Yeah. Especially it's hard enough to build a facility of this caliber. Try to build it during COVID. Okay. It was tough.
Yeah.
It was
talk about
it was historic.
Yeah.
Walk us through it. I mean, even if it's a shortened version,
we basically pulled every permit. I pulled every permit. I dealt with the city part, which was tough. My brother was more of the on hands guy building it.
A lot of waiting.
But it was both of us. We really both built that place, and we designed it as a family, and we're very proud of it. We've paid for everything up until last week's payroll, and we're just starting finally to bring in money from the rec market. But it's been tough because we all know the rec market is not set up for us to succeed a lot of the time. When someone buys an eighth for $60, just remember this, people, a third of that is taxes. Okay. Yeah. And a third of that is what what we're selling to the dispensaries at. So think about that for a second.
And then your cost.
Yeah, it's split three ways. The shop gets third, we get a third, and so does the man.
And it's crazy because we will get comments sometimes on the page like, don't glorify $100 eighths. And it's like, no, listen, it's not it's that this grower just spent 2 years finding that strain from seed. He also spent $500 a pack on 20 packs of seeds. So his investment was like $5,000, by the way. All right. So he bought those seeds 2 years ago. Then he took prime real estate in a garden that he spends crazy amounts of money to prop up, right?
Absolutely.
He then grew those seeds out and found something, maybe one out of all $5,000 worth of seeds, one thing that hopefully the market would like. Then he took his faith and his money and put it to the test and said, fuck everybody if this doesn't work, and then got you your eighth, right? And you were able to go in a store and buy it and take it home and smoke it with no liability, meaning you didn't have to worry about, oh, well, I had to grow this eighth. You don't have to, you spent your $100, let's say, or $80, whatever, $60 on your eighth. Man, the amount of work that took someone like you or some of these guys to get that eighth in front of them of a new strain, of a new this grown perfectly. I mean, that's amazing. That's why it kills me when a lot of these people, we need to educate these consumers on the amount of work that some of these really good brands like you guys. And so, I mean, Alien Labs, I mean, we'll go on and on, Straight Organics, Blackleaf. Yep. I mean, we go, I love NorCal Gardens. I love all these guys. I'm smoking so many different things from great companies that curate their product well, that I just want to touch on that it takes so much time to get something like this hash hole. And then you guys, your pricing is so reasonable. It's unbelievable.
That's because we're a single source facility. We don't source anything. Like, think about it. If you're someone that is sourcing hash or flour and
tax.
Yeah. And you're buying that now, the labor behind it now to sell it in retails, there's not much margins for you to make money. So the pre-rolls have to be more money. But when you're a single source facility, it's easier for us. We can make it more budget driven for people that are budget driven.
You try your best to do it.
And the taxes really make it hard. Taxes make it hard.
Budget driven because we understand not everybody can afford the bigger ticket.
Yes.
But at the same time, we're going to give you the best experience for your bang for your buck.
Yes.
When a consumer walks into a store, there's hundreds of brands to choose from. And the way they choose is either dollar oriented, or they already have in mind what they want because that's their favorite, or they have a price standard. You know, it's like those are the kind of, or THC. You know, THC and dollar. I think those
we should touch on that.
Two basics.
Man, it kills me. That kills me, that part. But I just always tell people, if you're looking for budget, buy some greenhouse.
Yep.
I mean, when you go to a top-notch, top-tier brand and then you're complaining about, well, like, I mean, it'd be like going to Gucci and being like, this is expensive.
Right.
You'd be like, bro, who are you?
Yeah, you're in the wrong store.
But I mean, it's really that. But I mean, what you said, though, is key, man. THC, man. Are you getting a lot of people? Like, are you getting distros or like, are you getting shops asking like, man, we need some high THC test and shit?
Of course. We had White Runs test at 22%.
Awesome.
And then we had for the market, 22% is not
even
awesome.
Take it or put it on the shelf.
That is so sad because 22% is great.
22 by the percentage.
Most OG we ever grew never tested over 22, 23%. No. When I see OG today testing at 30, I scratch my head. I'm not sure, but I'm like, okay, what's going on? But who knows? I don't know.
It's bullshit. I know. I'm telling you right now.
I got to test at 22 and then I got to test at 32.
I grow smoke presidential kush, test 23 to 24%, right? Some of the best herb I've smoked in my whole life. I mean, I've put people out with Prez. We've smoked. People are scared to sit down and smoke joints of presidential kush because they're like, I might have a panic attack. Like, it's that strong. Okay, it's 22%. It's straight Afghani kush. Cron. That's why I can't go. I can't believe, and we're all consumers. We're all connoisseurs. I'm not buying into this THC shit at all. None of these testing places. You can over dry weed and raise your test score. I know that for a fact. If you over dry your herb, you like in Colorado, right? If you pull more moisture out, your content of THC is higher for that same amount of herb. So you will test at a higher percentage. I know companies that literally will take product and over dry it, knowing that then it will test higher. Then there's your test score. And then they can get what they want out of it.
They should have standardized testing.
But that's why the consumer shouldn't rely on that. That's why that shouldn't even be part of it.
The funny part is we're so fixated on one of the over 700 compounds that create the effect that we get from this plant. It's like, okay, let's talk about one, but there's over 700.
Yes.
It's like, what about the mixture, the combination of the terpenes? Terpenes are aromatherapy. And just like you have your different smells for relaxation, for awakening, those are the same things that affect the experience. So you're going to compare what the percentage is based on that number when I always say your best thing is to just experience it. Give it your own shot, because what it does for you may not do it for me. So don't allow a number to stop you from purchasing something. Just because it has a lower number, that may rock your world.
Man, when I go to the liquor store and I go to buy a bottle of Dom Perignon, or I buy some really high-end tequila, and one of them is 65%. And then I look over at the cheapest shit that's in a plastic bottle and it's 74% alcohol. I'm like, you're telling me you're going to take that over the Dom Perignon? I mean, get the fuck out of here. Like, that's the issue, is that they can't parallel it. Take a step back and think about that in real terms. You're about to just smoke something that you're like, it gets me hot. No, man, I've smoked herb that was 17, 18% THC, but had insane terpene profiles and gotten so fucking high in an aromatherapy way where my senses are booming, my thoughts are crazy. It's a whole different experience. And it kills me when I hear this from rec brands like you, because you guys are growing fire terpene product, right? The smells and the flavors are so there. And it's just crazy to hear that. It breaks my heart from another grower who doesn't care about THC. And all the head growers, are like, fuck THC. Who gives a fuck about this? That? So
OG
who cares?
Never really for us tested over 22, 23%. Maybe some people can get 25, but why did OG always get us more high than any other weed?
Terpenes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was
terpenes,
the combination.
Experience.
Dankest, loudest weed. And you had a jar of OG and you accidentally opened it up. The whole house was blown up.
But it's the combination of THC with terpenes that gets you that lifted experience where now your senses are booming. And what I'm always looking for in my chronic or my smoke or my medicine is I want a game changer, which means my head change. I want a head change. I want to inspire myself to do some dope art or inspire myself to get back to fucking work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a lot of the times it's like, take a hit and then get your ass back to work, bro. Yeah. And it just kills me when people are worried about THC, because you're going to knock off some of the best brands, best products. You're going to make them grow a bunch of strains that test high, that do not have the passion.
I think it's about, George says this best, it's about education.
There you go.
Educating everybody. Like, this is how it is. And this is our opinion. Doesn't mean necessarily fact, but this is just our opinion. I think we've been in the market long enough and we've smoked long enough. All of us in this room grown long enough, been in this crazy industry long enough to really feel like, hey, we believe this. And, OG is a perfect example of THC, of why that gets you more high than anything. Like, I would love to grow OG again, but the market doesn't want it. Yeah.
It doesn't sell as
they want good. Sativas. Go to any shop, say, hey, you have enough sativas? Most of them are going to say no.
Yes. You're right.
And then it's a price point.
When we first came out here 6 years ago, that was a big lacking in the market. There was no sativas. It was all OGs, and the exotic market was just bubbling out here.
Just
215 era.
Yeah.
Really, what made OG disappear was price.
Oh yeah, when the market crashed,
it was so saturated with OG. That's
OG was down to 1,000.
Oh, I see. So you're saying that it was so saturated that the price. So people, why would I grow that if I can grow something else for way more?
So many places shut down.
And then cookies really came up to really allow these new strains that were coming to the market, like the Forum Cut or the Thin Mint or the Sherbets or the Gelatos, that were really, what cannabis is today.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It is. I love cookies,
It's
man.
built off those.
You know, they
genetics.
changed it for
Cookies the
OG growers.
strain. I love cookies the strain.
Cookies the strain. Yeah.
The strain cookies. I mean, it was like a myth back in Florida.
Yeah.
We used to hear about it. We never get to try any.
No, and you know, people, even us down here, wouldn't get very much cookie strains. You know, it took years for us to like finally get Forum Cut or Thin Mint or the Platinum. I grew all three of those. I really didn't like them because they were like very small yielding plants, and they're like popcorn sized buds and very hard to trim. Yeah, boutique.
It is boutique.
You know, it is boutique, and really. The fact that all these strains came really allowed us people that grew only OG to kind of go into something else, and it opened up a whole nother door. Like, and this door is still opening.
It is, right?
It is truly.
And OG's going to come back around. You know, it's
already here.
A full cycle where, yeah, exactly. You're seeing gas again, and you're seeing more OGs again. I 100% agree. And
on the real, let's talk about how did you guys hustle it? Like, how did you guys go from everything to like getting into this facility and really making this happen
from
like,
a home grow,
from a home?
Because that was a big change for us.
Or better yet, how did you guys come up and get together and say we're gonna really do this shit? Because that's a brave ass move, man. This is all bootstrapped.
We've had successful construction companies. We've had we built development projects with my brother and I, building tri-level condominiums.
Wow. Okay.
Tracts of homes. So with my father.
Absolutely.
So you had a good groundwork.
My dad was the key to why we are here today.
They know how to use saws and hammers and build things with their hands. These guys are true craftsmen.
That's what
when you say carpenter, you know, they're basically Jesus now because they can build and grow weed.
I wouldn't say that. My dad taught us when we were young to like, instead of having a pool man, he's like, I'm going to teach my sons. You know, they're going to learn how to operate the pool and clean the pool. And then when there's a plumbing problem, he's like, you know, I'm going to teach you how to get under the sink and fix the plumbing. And I think that's kind of lost today with today's youth.
I was going to say,
you know, the internet can teach you anything, but you know, your father teaching you how to do all these hands-on things is really, the foundation of who we are as a family.
Yeah, that's all. I love that you kept that too. Haley Family Farms really means that.
It's a long fucking name, you know. I wish it was a shorter name, but
the logo's sick. I love it. No, I think it's real.
You guys are making it happen.
So you guys, you obviously just like any grower. So you were doing home grows, and then you were like, "Yo, we need a facility," or you just went from construction straight into a decent sized facility?
No, without saying too much.
Yeah,
but really, we all come from the black market.
All of us. So, you know, and we grew for pre-ICO, you know, at the time. And that's really what allowed us being able to grow and be able to use that pre-ICO to allow us to apply for phase 2 licensing. Oh, that's
was
awesome.
The key to everything.
That's huge, man.
You know,
wow, that's kind of what I was.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to know.
And when you're filling out these applications, they want to know like, hey, how long you've been growing, how much money have you made from the black market? 100%. You know, we divulge this information because
to the state.
It's necessary because we all want to pay taxes. We all want to be legal, but it just wasn't a great opportunity for us until it became.
The state also wants people who have done this before. They want to know because their whole thing is we want people. They've said it out loud. They have it in statements that they want people who they know will succeed. They don't want a bunch of new, because if they wanted a bunch of trial and error people, they would just open up licensing.
And only not the case. Only the strong are going to survive. This is not an easy path.
No,
the rec market is the hardest path you can ever imagine. And we know that with our passion and our drive, we don't take no for an answer. There is no, we just make solutions. We fix it. We continue. We get over it. We get through it. So it's like, we already know that the way that the state built this taxation, they built it for us to fail. They said, you know what?
Yes.
If you're going to survive, then you better be damn good at it.
A third
but
of what's you're paying.
There's no guarantee here that we're going to be around for years to come.
Yeah.
There's probably, I don't even know, but there's thousands and thousands of lights being built in California right now.
They're trying to do everything for cheap.
Yeah. Think of that. What's going to do to the price point. You know,
let's talk about
weed. Let's talk about all these other states coming online, though. What do you think that's going to do to the price point?
Oklahoma,
Insane.
is in a position perfectly in the country to be able to, they have a lot of land. They can facilitate to a lot of different states around the area. Are people going to want Cali weed all the time when you can get it from Oklahoma if you're in New York, or you can get it from Oklahoma if you're, in another close by state? Chicago just went online, right? Recently. So there's going to be a lot of states, but remember,
New York,
we've been doing this for so long that,
here.
We're pushing the envelope. My brother is going to push the envelope with, even climate steering and how the differentials are without giving away too much. This is the secret to like how you grow true craft cannabis at scale. And we haven't done it yet. We're trying. And then, Jungle Boys are doing it. It's a work in progress.
I like what you're touching on. And I also I haven't gone too deep into that. I haven't really even touched on that in the podcast. And I like what you're saying, because I'll just say I had a grower who used to run over 3,000 lights, 3,600, I think, to be exact. Right. And he came to me and said one of his biggest trials, I'm going to drop this gem, was when they had when GMO first dropped. They ran 2 rooms, I think 160 light rooms side by side of GMO.
Wow.
And one of them, they ran 2 degrees hotter at night with the same humidity, right? So they kept their VPD in check, but they ran, I think, instead of like a 78 or 77 degree evening, they did like an 82 degree evening, and they did it through the first 4 weeks of the cycle. And he said they had never in their life had bigger colas and larger plants than that run that time. And he said something about warmer evenings, but also staying in their VPD range, like letting it get warmer at night. And I always thought, wow, that's fucking interesting, because this is I'll just give it away. This was at Fat Panda in Oregon. They're like one of the largest cannabis facilities, if not the largest in the whole country.
You know where they got the idea from? Big Ag.
Okay.
Big Ag does that for where they run it warmer at night to do different things to the plants.
See, there you go, man.
There's a lot of tricks that people are learning from growing in greenhouses they're maybe implementing in indoor facilities. We know all about it. We know,
I've only heard too much. But I love that, man. I love that you guys are tweaking it, because the new thing for a lot of us growers is crop steering by basically your feeding techniques and small feeding, but more often. And I had a guy come through my garden one time, right? RF Agriculture. I don't know if you're
Aaron.
Aaron from RF Ag, really knowledgeable guy, but basically took the volume of the plant, the actual volume of the liquid volume of the Grodan cube, and then multiplied it and figured out how many gallons per hour, and then the feeding of how many hours, and had an exact schedule of how each plant should be fed, because this is how much the actual cube will take.
Yeah, the dry back.
Yeah. And he had within a couple minutes, he had wrote it down, and I thought, oh shit, this guy knows.
For sure.
That's even the next level past what I've been able to.
We're looking at computers now to grow cannabis.
But it takes a certain facility to get there, because I have facilities. The back of my room is watering 10 seconds after the front of my room.
Well, that's why you use pressure compensated systems, which actually can pressurize the whole system, and then it can water. So
that's that GC talking.
It's not GC. It's really Netafim has designed it to where you can actually use their equipment where they have pressure compensator emitters, where the whole thing will charge, because the problems in the past where the front of your room is getting more water than the back of your room.
My budget's my issue.
That's most people's problem. And it's been our problem too. It always is.
Yeah. But I love what you're doing though. You're doing it right. You said the pressure compensating, the whole room gets watering at the same time.
And it gets even amounts, and you have sensors on a certain amount of tables. And, if you're growing one strain in a room, it's a lot easier than growing multiple strains. My brother wants one strain in a room, but the market wants flavors. And he understands this. And that's the biggest challenge, is like juggling act, like you're doing, like juggling act. How do you do this?
It's a constant battle.
And one day we'll come back with my brother and we'll talk about how we do things, or how, one day when we're there.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I love it, man, because people don't understand that. That's why. And that's, you're worried about your $70, $60 eighth, and you don't realize that this person had to grow 12 different strains, pay for testing on them, and grow how hard it is to grow 6 different strains in the same room.
Sure. you know, it's different when you're growing a 1 lighter, a 2 lighter, a 4 lighter, or 12 lighter. You know, it's like when you're jumping to 81 light rooms or from 24 light rooms to 81 light rooms, there's a big difference in how you water and what nutrient you're using. It's like, it's key. We're realizing that all now that we're in a huge facility. It's challenging. It's also very rewarding at the same time.
Yeah. Finding all these things out and seeing how different the plant comes out. It's another language.
Truly, growing is a feel.
Mm-hmm.
It is. You can look at all these graphs. You can listen to all these people. But at the end of the day, it's a feel. And it's like what you do and how you steer and how you steer your climates and whatever your differentials are, whether you're getting hot or cold at different times of the run and however you're doing it. It's like there's so many different ways to do this.
And then you give them another strain to run.
Yeah. Then I throw another strain in.
Rip that out.
I said,
start all over.
And, we should talk about like how the market wants purple. It's like purple is obsessed. Everyone's obsessed with purple. Like, give me purple. Like,
yes.
but now I give him something like rainbow belts,
dude.
where it's like, hey, wait, this is green weed. I'm like, yeah, but there's exceptions to the rule. There's exceptions. Like if it's terpene, it's skittly. And he's like, wait, it's not purple. It's still not purple.
It didn't compute.
Yeah.
I think that goes along with buying weed based on THC. You know, it's the same premise that
we're trying to make green weed great again.
Yeah.
That's our thought too. We're like, we need to make green weed great again.
I mean, dude, some of the best weed I ever had, the skunks never turn purple. The skunk stuff were always just lime green. Didn't matter how you're dialed and how crazy your room was. Like, I totally agree with you, man. And I think every weed should be like a person, bro. You take the person how they are. You don't try to change them. Yes. You don't sit there and tell them like, oh man, you'd be way doper if you fucking did this and look like that. No, this person is this way. Yeah. And that's why you fucking accept them and you love them for who they are. And it's the same thing with the plant. It's the same thing buying your eighth, bro. You bought that eighth, and that eighth, there's a lot of time and energy that went into that. Love that for what it is. Don't sit there and try to, well, like it'd be doper if it was purple. Well, it isn't, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what the other kid's for. That's what the other person, that's what the other girl is. Right.
That's
you know what I'm saying?
That's why you try to cater to almost every palate, you know, and I just growing only purple weed is what the market wants. But, you know, I'm growing a lot of Skittles crosses, but a lot of that isn't very appealing. Like it's not shiny as maybe like a jealousy cut or a Oreos or a cold snap or whatever else we have coming.
Beautiful bling.
I have some sunset runts coming crosses. I hunted that is sunset sherbet and runts. Man, I had like 4 keepers from there. Fucking unreal.
Wow.
So there's so much potential of different palette terpenes of weed that are going to be just like constant rotation. And, you know, it's not fair to my brother, but I think like when we had other facilities, once that room is dialed in, you could literally throw anything in that room and it'll come out fire.
But that room was much smaller.
Yeah. But still,
it was much more controllable.
I agree. Once you have the room dialed, it's easier to then dial the plants
I would agree. But once you unlock this, you unlock it and you're like, okay, this is it. I know now what I need to do. I know now how I need to water. I know how I need to steer. Okay. This is a dank factory every single time. And truly consistency is what is going to set us apart from everyone. Because that's what I feel is the key to success.
He's dialing it in. That's why it's like steering a cruise ship.
Yeah.
It's literally like steering a cruise ship, and he's getting better and better. Every run is more impressive. That's the beauty of it. You can see progressive improvement.
How long have you guys had the facility online?
I started harvesting December 2nd.
Was our first harvest.
Fucking insane. Talk about these jars you just brought us and shit.
Oh man. Let's explain it. Pack God's like, man, Pat Gods and me were sitting there, and Income LA Family Farms with like these crazy ass jars of hash, and they have some connoisseurship. Because
no one else has had. You guys are actually the first to actually have it in a gram. We don't have any grams on the market.
Explain the parallel. Explain the parallel. We have 6 flavors. Like, give us the rundown.
Okay, well, what we brought here are the items that we are going to be bringing to the market. This is our rosin, our live rosin. So everything that we grow in our special rooms and other rooms that we grow in.
We have rooms specifically for fresh frozen.
Oh, nice. So it's not just lowers and shit like that. You have a full run. Yep. And you're like, this whole run's going to fresh frozen for
the whole thing.
Wow.
100 lights for just over 100 lights dedicated for
fresh frozen terp research.
Yep. Jeez.
So we call that those are the terp rooms. So everything we grow in there is not color.
LEDs too.
It's not about structure. It's really about terps, because a lot of times the plants that we get great terps from don't present themselves well in flower form, but dank in concentrated form. So that's what those rooms are about. But anyway, when we take these rooms down, we generally like to have them done right there in the room. We de-leaf them right there. We chop them off with the scissors. Within 30 minutes, they're in the freezer.
Oh, that's fast.
Or less.
But if you don't mind me interjecting, so when you're clipping it off, are you clipping it into like a bag, like a turkey bag? Okay,
we're going into a turkey bag.
And that turkey bag is in a bucket.
It's in a bucket. Okay. So it's already in a food grade bucket. And then basically you de-leaf it so the plant's still alive. Mm-hmm. You chop one branch and with your scissors, they're just trimming it off, first cleaning it up, and then are just bucking with the scissors into the bucket. So you're trimming it on the stem. You're basically wet trimming.
But they're not taking the scissor and sliding across the stem. They're not using like a bucker.
No,
we do not want that. We actually go in there and clip every single part of it, because we don't want to damage any heads. This is a very delicate process, and people don't understand, like, why is rosin so expensive? This is why. The process truly like we had some garlic juice that didn't have the right, it's white, but it's not white enough for the market, because the market wants the whitest shit.
They don't understand the differences yet.
That's education, brother.
As time
education.
comes by.
Talk to us about the cold cure and the difference.
The different consistencies. That's the thing about what I don't know if a lot of people know about yet, but with the hash rosin market, there's so many different levels to consistencies, and the different results are palate and understanding of how the product comes out. Like what we've created here, we have our fresh press variation, and this is what we press at 148 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's usually with very low pressure, and it's done in about a minute and a half. And then when we press it, we don't have it just flowing off. You know how like you'll see those beautiful waterfalls? It's actually being pressed in a closed parchment paper to preserve terps again. So as we pull it off the press, we'll drop the puck out and then cold plate it.
That's great for show. It is. But in our opinion, the way we want to preserve terps, we don't want them running down. We want to just, as quick as possible, fold that over, press it, now put it in a freezer or refrigerator.
You're talking about off gassing. So when now it's running and it's heated, you're getting the off gassing of terpenes into the air, where when you're basically preserving them by capsulating them.
Yep.
And then I love, because like I was saying, when they came through with 6 flavors, 6 fresh press flavors, and then the same exact flavor in cold cure. And I'm sitting here passing them between pack gods, and I'm like, dude, smell this, smell that. And you can literally, one smells different than the other, and it's the same strain.
The fresh press doesn't have much of a smell because it's kind of locked in.
There you go. I love that.
And this was just done like the cold cure was done over time, but the fresh press, how long ago was that done?
The fresh press, actually, it's been preserved in refrigerator. Okay. I've had that fresh press. I want to say it's been cold curing, but at a colder temperature. So depending on the temperature you're cold curing, you can either slow down the curing process or you can allow the curing process based on the storage temperature. So,
but the reason the cold cure smells 10 times more is because it's off gassing terpenes.
Yeah. Yes.
So,
exactly.
Okay. And that's, even as a educated consumer, I was seeing all this fresh press in the rec market, and I would buy it and I'm like, man, why are they not doing cold cure? I don't understand this, because in the black market, all the rosin is cold cure. Yes. Really. Like, there's a lot of it. And then now I see, because, and man, I honestly, I think you guys should sell it like this, because
there's a reason why it's only cold cured.
You guys should sell it though, like this, where you get to try both.
We want to.
As a consumer, to be able to dab the cold cure and then go back and forth between the fresh press. Oh my God, bro. That's amazing.
We have the ability to do that. Once again,
the fresh press. This is the thing about the fresh press. Once you understand what the fresh press can do for the hash consumer, you will most likely choose the fresh press, because when you get the fresh press, you now become the hash maker. You get to steer the direction of this hash. Cold cure, you can't go backwards. It's already cured. You can't make it fresh again. But when it's cold cured, you can either preserve it and keep it and maintain that terp blockage and keep that candy-like glass look just by keeping it at a really cold temperature. Or you can allow it to go at room temperature at 70 degrees and it's going to get that cold cure look.
Just like flour.
Weeks. It's going to change. Or you can do pocket tech, what I like to do, literally put it in my pocket. By tomorrow, it's going to be all wet, so there's different variations as a hash maker. When you get it in fresh press, that's the beginning of the magic. So it's hash magic. It's like what it looks like today, depending on what I do to it. Like, look at it, what it looks like today. And then tomorrow you're going to taste it and you're going to smoke it. And you're like, wow, that's a different experience. And then you're going to leave it in your pocket. And then you're going to come back and you're like, whoa, it's all whippy. It's like whipped cream today.
Yeah.
And then you're going to like, oh, I'm going to go and play with it. You're going to whip it.
Or you'll have the heady guys that just keep it in the refrigerator or freezer and just want to dab it just like that.
Because but those are the guys that treat it like a real true connoisseur, like a wine sommelier would have multiple variations of wine.
Yeah.
You don't and they have them there for the vintage purpose of it. And they have it so that way they go in there and I just want to taste, this is one, and they'll have dates on them.
Yeah.
This is from, October of 27, this date. Look at that. And look at it. Look at what it looks like now. Look at it. It hasn't even buttered yet.
Yeah.
Like it's an experience, and once people start to recognize hash on that level, they'll start appreciating that it has such a higher value.
But color is dictated. A lot of people dictate how they buy upon color. Like, it has to be white. But
smell.
We have a Skittles cake cross that we run, and man, it produces green rosin.
Wow.
It does. Yellowish rosin, but it is so dank.
On the terpage, it's high in terpage, but it just doesn't, it's not pretty to the eyeball, They just like that light color. That's what they're attracted to.
Which is crazy because that's also indication of early heads, wouldn't it be? Or if it's pre-whip
and also
pre-whip or
earlier. If you do pour earlier, you're definitely going to get the advantage of having a lighter color.
So the darker heads would be even a stronger high, more sedative high sometimes, and would be like more aged or more honestly appropriately aged for
oxidized
flower. Yes, there you go.
Or just the nature of that strain happens to just produce that different darker shade. And if you can see here in garlic juice versus the sour animal, look at the color
sour Dean animal cookies.
Oh,
look at that color and put it next to the garlic juice.
Yeah, totally different. I mean, I love the sour animal too. Like, I mean, it's so interesting though, because even as an educated consumer, to be honest, I didn't know if you would have told me, hey, I have fresh press here and then I have cold cure, I would have picked the cold cure. But now that I know that the reason it smells more is because it's off gassing terps versus them being locked in through some type of, I guess, like an outside membrane that kind of
that will get, that wet look.
Yeah.
That will get, if you start playing with it, it'll start getting that wet look. That's why a lot of the black market brands that are out there, they have that wet look.
Yeah.
They can't do fresh press because it's where are they going to keep it? It's like either it's being transported, it's going to butter up. They can't do that. So there's a reason why they do it only like that. At least that's only my opinion, of course.
I agree. And I think it's awesome. And I think people, I didn't know that. I can't wait for people to understand that. That's super cool.
Crazy.
It makes me respect other brands more that are in the rec market, to be honest, because like I was seeing West Coast Cure, they had papaya rosin and I randomly bought it. I was like, oh, fresh press. Why would they do that? That doesn't make too much sense. I was like, why wouldn't they? And it didn't have a lot of smell. So I was weary to buy it. Honestly, as an educated consumer, I was weird. And then now I'm looking back on it because in the end I smoked it and I was like, this is fire. It tastes great. Tastes really good. And I just couldn't understand in my head, why wouldn't they cold cure it and make it look prettier and let it? And now I understand because I actually want a better product to get to the consumer.
Give you that better experience.
Yeah.
That's interesting. This is going to be a big debate. This, I'm telling you right now, this conversation right here, because I know Hash Era, I know Trilogy, I know a lot of guys that cold cure that are not going to be like, I know, you know what I'm saying? So it's going to be an interesting conversation.
We like both.
I do too.
I mean,
I'll dab of each.
That's why we have both.
Yeah.
They're just two different experiences. One of them gets the job done for you, and the other one allows you to do the job.
I like it.
What if I told you?
Can you explain that a little bit? Like, as far as like the cold cure from the fresh press, you're saying the fresh press is locking the terps in for you to actually taste it.
Mhm.
So you're smelling it less, but with the cold cure, you're smelling it more. It's off gassing those terps so that you do smell it more, but you're tasting less of it.
Right. And it's going to also most likely have a little bit higher THC potency because of the decarboxylation factor that takes place to get it to that stage.
Which one would have more THC?
Fresh press.
The cold cure.
Oh, okay.
You're going to have a
Okay.
higher THCA in the fresh press because of the low decarboxylation time and heat. Heat and light are the two major factors in decarboxylation. Cold cure allows heat, and that's accelerating the decarboxylation naturally. As soon as we cut this plant, it's naturally decarboxylating. So that's the only difference is that. And then when you get the fresh press, it allows you to now speed up that or slow it down. You now get to start it off from like what the hash maker had from his fresh press.
Yeah.
When I press this out, it looks like glass and candy. And that's what I get to see. But what do you get to see? What I do to it?
Yeah.
What temperature I put it at? What if I want to put mine at 120? What if you want to put yours at 90? Well, if I give it to you in fresh press, you can do whatever you want to. You can make it into a jam. You can cold cure it. You can heat cure it. You know, you can whip it. You can make it into a cart, you know, or you can just get it all buttered up, or you can just use your fingers and you can put it on your bowls. That's the way I like to do it. I like to have touchable finger stuff because I put every bowl I smoke in a bong or a pipe has top with rosin. So, you know, everybody has their use.
We have a
versatility.
third rosin that we haven't brought to the market, but if I told you I can make dank ass rosin, but with a different high coming from trim, if you know how to wash and you know how to do this, and as long as George has been doing this and you know how to wash properly, a trichome head is a trichome head.
Yes.
Whether it's amber or cured or not, right? Or if it's fresh frozen. But if you know how to extract properly, we can literally make white looking rosin, strain dependent, of course, from trim.
I can totally back you up on that because I've seen one of my best friends is a hash maker, and I watched some. He's actually purchased trim from. He purchased. I'll put it out there. Elephant's Growth trim from his OG, and has run it, and it yields very small, but the hash it puts out even on the trim is fire.
But remember, it's how you treat the trim.
Mhm.
Elephant Growth is a great grower.
and
the process that he has on his grow, I'm sure translates into his trim.
100%
His trim.
So it's
likely.
how, like, if you're having people that beat up your fucking shit, and you're gonna
Grind
have
your
a
weed
low
and use
crystal.
their
Yeah,
fingers. They're
it's
just
how you
grinding
treat it.
You know how you can usually tell? I look at someone's trim bag, and if you can see the full 5-finger leaf and it's still in like the trim leaf is still like a full leaf, it's not just pieces of leaves. That's how you tell it's fine. In my opinion, I can look at a bag, and if it's fluffy trim, which is full pieces of trim, like whoever the trimmers were too, they didn't cut one piece of trim 3 times. Your trimmers are a big part of it too.
Of course.
I've seen them just hack the shit out of buds.
The lawn,
and the trim looks like beat
Rake
up
it,
trim.
of
Yeah. And then you have other trimmers like when we used to, where we would clip it at the bottom, the base of the branch, and the whole piece of the leaf would fall off as one. You might have a quarter size piece of trim, you know, and that thing's covered in crystals.
Yep. It's how you treat it in the process. Yeah. So if you have beat up trim, you're going to have, you know, possibly contaminated.
You're beat up.
Yeah.
We
Fucking
say when we're in the trim room, we know that we are not only harvesting the bud, but we are harvesting our trim. And that's the key factor of being able to process and wash your trim and produce hash. Most of my experience is washing trim. I didn't have the luxury of messing with fresh frozen. Yep. And over the time, people kept comparing me to fresh frozen. It was the most difficult time because they're just like, no, this isn't white enough. This isn't white enough. This isn't white enough. And I just kept trying, and eventually we call
it the super wash.
The
and then it turned into super duper wash. And then finally we got it to where it was like our Oreos turned out white. And I'm like, hey, what are you talking about? Fresh frozen. And I completely like, hey, not tell them it's, full term dry cure. That's what we call it.
Well, the reason I came up with the FTDC, the full term dry cured, is because people would tell people that it was live rosin. And me being the hash maker, I'm like, I bust my ass to turn this trim into this beautiful product.
Plus, we don't want to lie to people. A lot of people are about lying to people and like saying what one thing is and what not.
BHO was a big thing back in the day.
Yeah.
And and I'm like, I don't like people saying that this is live rosin because it's not. It's made from trim and it's fucking stony as hell and it's dank, but it's not. So I said, you know what? We're going to call this full term, meaning it's the full term of the plant cycle. We didn't cut it early. And it was dry cured. It was hung up and dried and cured and trimmed and bagged up. And then I put it in the freezer.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did many different techniques to wash it over time to get.
Took us years.
I would get the contamination factor of dry trim. I used to wash hash in the backyard, 10 years ago, washing trim just for the personal head because we weren't doing it for people to buy it. We just did it because we liked it for our heads. And then we started learning over watching Colorado is what turned me on to colder temps. And I'm like, oh shit, we shouldn't be washing and hash in the backyard.
Yeah.
Just worried, just fuck ice. That's not
so
all.
We bought a fucking ice freezer.
Yeah. Me and my buddy Color Thumb. Check this story out.
Yeah.
So I find on Craigslist and I'm like, you're not going to believe this, dude. There's a 10 by 12 walk-in freezer. $500, but the catch is we have to go take it out
and disassemble it.
That's always the catch.
Fuck that.
You got to get rid of some shit. You're like, you got to
do for fucking this plant, bro.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Here we
Chris
go.
and I, we fucking got in the truck. We drove 2 hours. It was like Riverside or something. It was at a closed bar, one of those sports bars, and it was drywalled in to this building. Okay. Literally drywalled in. And I look at him and I'm just like, you know what? I really want this thing. So I told the guy, look, I'm going to give you this $500. I'm going to give it my best damn shot to get this thing out of here. But if for whatever reason we feel that we cannot finish this job, I'm going to ask for my money back. And he's like, okay, that's a fair deal. So 8 hours later,
they wanted to give up.
8 hours.
Dude, I was getting phone calls. Fuck this.
They build the restaurant around it. Yeah, my parents used to own a restaurant. It's like in the middle of the kitchen. I'm like, you'd be like, like Fast and Furious.
It was a piece of
rip
furniture,
it out
bro.
with a truck, put a chain on it and just rip it out.
And you had to take it out to where you had to use it again. So you can't sledgehammer this thing out.
So I learned how to disassemble it.
Yeah. So when you disassemble something, guess what? You now learn how to put it back together. So we thought.
Yeah, it took us 8 hours to get that sucker out. We finally got it out. We installed it in my garage. I started washing and that was the cold room.
That's dope.
That was the box there. We got an old mini split unit that I had. It was a 2.5 ton. And then I made my own little, what they call now a cool bot. Now it's called a cool bot. You can get it at Home Depot, but I actually made mine with a PID controller that just allows you to put a temperature gauge. You can trick the thermostat coupler that actually controls the on and off feature. So if you say it's at 61 and it gets to 58, it's going to kick on the compressor. So I wrapped that little thermocouple with a heater blanket, and I would have it another thermostat controlling that, saying when I want the room to be 38, I want you to heat that fucker up, thinking that it's not 61. So it keeps cooling this room down.
So we heated it up so it would never turn on.
And then once you got to my temp, I had another temp in my coils, making sure that I wouldn't freeze my coils. So I would set that at about 20. So I said, once my coils are at 20, I want to tell it to stop cooling so I don't freeze my coils. So and this was all just because I'm a nerd and a geek when it comes to science and engineering and
I love it.
And electrical engineering. So I connecting all the dots kind of thing. So that's how I made it there.
But that spawned the idea. We actually built our facility with the idea of now we wash in a room that's literally 33 degrees.
Wow. That's cool.
So 10-year journey.
Is it 33 or 36? What is it?
I keep it at 37.
37.
Because 33 hurts too much.
Yeah. But we have the ability. We have the ability to go to 33.
Yes, we can go that cold. But in my opinion, I haven't found the difference other than the pain level. So I'm comfortable at 38.
You're in there hooded up.
We have a deep freezer for deep freezing negative 10 degrees and
We
stuff.
have a walk-in freezer.
The walk-in freezer at the end of the lab. It's
a
the
negative.
beautiful lab they let me build. Literally, they're like, all right, you've been doing this. We're going to let you have this space. Do what you want.
That's fucking amazing, man.
Over the years that we were washing trim, this is what this whole little 10 by 12 freezer was. Is that we were building, and what Joe kept pressing me is that, you know how much material you're going to have? Do you realize that you're going to have so much material? You got to figure out a process. He's like, you can't just be thinking these little batches. He goes, you got to be able to wash a lot, and it's got to come out fire. You know, so that's like, okay, we got to.
And we didn't want to do it with like the machines that were out at the time, spending 60, 100 grand, 150. What quotes were we getting? Crazy quotes.
Yeah.
Fucking astronomical.
The cost of our whole facility is what they were asking for these washers to build the facility that we built. And, you know, we're not corporate funded, so we don't have just endless amounts of money. So the idea was, you know what? We know what works. We're going to go with what works. And as we build on with what we have, and we can afford to maybe spend the money there, we will add on. But we're going to go with what we know and what works for us.
But when you're building a facility that is permitted and building department is checking off everything you're building because it's all planned out, you can't decide to scratch your head later and install it because everything is like, this has to be thought out.
Yeah.
And this is how we thought this whole process. And luckily, we fucking pulled it off.
That's awesome.
crazy.
Literally, that's the best part. Holy shit. Now we're here enjoying the product right now.
Well, and this guy, when he says it hurts, you know, when he went back to saying that, he means he's standing in that room having to work 8 to 12 hours in a room that's 33 degrees working, like not just standing there like, oh, I could do that. I could stand in the corner. No, you have to, you're working in that all day. Like think about going to work in that. And then people are like, 60 seems like a lot for this gram of wax, and this dude's in there shivering for 15 hours. Like, I hope you guys like it. You know, so just take that in consideration.
We press at a higher. It's not that
when we're pressing because of the condensation factor. I'll bring the temp up into the 50s.
But the work's getting done in that temp when you're washing.
When we're washing, it's a 12-hour day,
and that's the hard work.
Yeah, it's a 12-hour day. There is no chairs. There's absolutely no chairs in my lab. It's a standing room only. And there's no time to sit down.
You guys still wash by hand or with a paddle?
We wash by hand.
You've seen the new machines Hashatron has?
I also use machines.
Oh, those are sick.
We do a combination of things.
Okay, cool.
But we do like to do a hand wash.
Remember with the machine, there's a lot of variables.
Okay.
When you do stuff by hand, just like comparing a hand trimmed compared to machine trimmed.
Got you.
Okay. There's a lot of, people can claim a lot of things, but I think the best hash that I've seen so far is done by hand.
Oh, okay. So, and now knowing that you guys have experience on both sides and saying that means a lot. I think a lot of hash makers are going to take heed to that.
There is a big difference. We're fortunate enough to have so much material. We can choose to do both ways. You know, if you had a limited amount of material, my recommendation is hand wash it. Don't waste it. But in the event that you're trying to make it because there's a lot of the stuff that will sell to the, the white label where they'll put their own name on it. It's like, okay, we're not really trying to get the highest dollar, but we have so much hash to produce, then we're just going to give them that type of quality based on the quality that they're trying to pay. But what we're trying to put out on our market is the highest quality possible. So that's when we only do the hand wash. So that's why I say if you're trying to create the best
yields
possible,
are less with hand wash. That's why people gravitate towards machines because you can get a great yield. Product. You can, don't get me wrong.
Yes.
But you get a higher return, boys.
Much higher yield.
You're literally talking commercial versus boutique.
Yes.
That's what we're talking about.
It's the Sammy Adams and Budweiser.
Yeah.
You know, the Chimay compared to the Miller Genuine Draft. That's how I look at it.
Because you can always tell a machine trim bud. You know, you look at it and it's one of the first things I say. I'll look at the corners of the bud and I see it's been knocked around or there's no crystals. And I'm like, I wonder if that brand, and you know, there's a couple big brands that actually do both, but it's interesting. And it's the difference between treating it like commercial, your product, or treating it as boutique.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's a big factor when you're at the level of how much product, not all of our product goes in our bag. I mean, I don't think people realize that.
No.
That not. I don't even the percentage that goes into our bags.
I white label most of it.
Yeah,
Oh,
other
wow.
brands.
Oh,
Yeah, other brands.
I didn't know that.
Other
either.
brands.
we don't want
I'm
it
not
in
going
the-
to mention those brands because
Yeah,
I have non-disclosures, but it's better just to, when you're dialing a facility, you have to, people that have funded by big corporations, they'll put anything in a bag. Like
Yeah.
you're harvesting, okay, we'll just price it less, but the brand suffers.
Yes.
So we need to be really conscious of what goes into a bag in order to properly build a brand, in my opinion, again,
We
No,
do
I
have the
believe that.
advantage that we
I like
can
that strategy.
cherry pick.
Yes.
Yeah.
We get to actually choose the best of the best, what comes out of our facility, and put it in the bag.
Yeah.
So that is an advantage that we have over someone who has to outsource, because usually when you're outsourcing, guess what they're probably getting?
It's what we
Yeah,
used to
it's out of
say.
your control. You know
Look,
what I mean?
Yeah.
not every room can turn out dank in a 20-year career. When you're dialing a facility, rooms suffer, ACs get hotter, they go down. It's not if, it's when all this happens. So rooms can suffer, and people don't want to talk about that because, a brand can suffer and hurt, but it's the realistic part of this game and this business, and that's why I'm really specific about what we want to put in the bag. And so we make less money. Okay. That's the thing. We make less. Okay.
But people know what they're getting, and they know, if I buy this, it's going to be curated properly.
You're still able to stand on your product. That's literally what you're smoking. Not that, you're smoking on some different herb, you know what I mean, than what they're getting in that bag.
And you guys know that from building Blackleaf.
Mhm.
You know that it's important to put, what you can actually put your name behind.
I like what you said in the beginning. I think it's roundabout to this. It's what you'd want to smoke. I always grow what I'd want to smoke. I always put in the 8th jar. I always put out product that I would be happy smoking
or buying.
Exactly. 100%. I always go back to that. Would I be happy getting this if I paid that?
Yeah. So, I'm proud to say that, we have that fortunate opportunity to be able to do that, but not a lot of brands can do that. We're just not, we don't base everything off of money.
I love that. What do you guys? So what's
Based
the next
off a
big
legacy?
move?
LA Family Farms.
We base it off of our reputation, our
It's a
respect for the
legacy.
plant, our respect for, the fact that you're coming in and spending your hard earned working money, because we value the value of $1. We truly do. My dad taught us that, you value the value of $1. You can value the value of millions if you were fortunate ever to have that in your hands.
And that's why your stuff's priced properly. Like when we were talking earlier about that, and you were explaining, I could tell you were very prideful about that. You're not trying to charge the shit out of people for your product. That like, yo, listen, because we were talking about this hash hole, and I was like, holy fuck, this must be an expensive experience because of how good it tastes and how it looked. And you were like, no, we put those out for this price. And I was actually like, holy shit, that's like wholesale price. And it's interesting. I like that you come from that stance. You don't hear that a lot in this industry.
No, you don't. I mean, look, I could price it to be at the same rate as other brands out there, but is that really sustainable for us and me, as a person? Can I go back into a shop and get that same product over and over again? And I'm not knocking any brand. I love them all and I respect them dearly, all of them. But
it's hard work all around.
It is hard work. If you're
100%.
even sourcing flour or even sourcing rosin, and you're doing
easy.
it's not easy. None of it is.
Straight
None of
up.
it is. And they have to have those priced higher than us because they're sourcing and they putting their name behind it, and they need to make a living and put food in their tables. And it's like, okay, we get it. We get it. That's why we wanted to build a single source facility. And that's why I think single source facilities are the future of craft cannabis.
Totally agree, man. I totally agree. I think every brand, that should be the model. You put out your product. There's not, all these like how amazing you have a brand and you really get to see the full scope. It's like a baseball team. You got your hitter, you got your fielder, you got your manager, you got everybody plays a role. So it's the same thing. Now you got a brand and you got your rosin, your flour, your edible that's made with the rosin or made with the BHO. You got all these different products, your topical, your, whatever. all made from, and each brand then curates their line.
I mean, I love hash rosin edibles, and I would love to have a line of do hash rosin edibles, because that for me, growing up and eating edibles, I get so fucked up. I hated them. Every guy I knew that ever smoked like we did hated edibles for the number one reason is like, dude, I'm hallucinating. I can't fucking stand up. It's too, because we never knew how to milligram it out properly. And, you know, George and I know how to now milligram stuff out properly to be able to dose people properly. And now it's like, it's so pleasant. It
is. And
best.
Talking about the hash rosin edibles, like just the quality and the material and the experience.
It's a different high.
It's a whole different experience.
Edibles are the future, because now anybody, you don't have to be a smoker, you don't have to be a dabber, like everyone eats, right?
Absolutely. No, seriously.
Pack odds, I see you enjoy the huckleberry ones that I bring over, and those are all, but those, I mean, all those are all.
He's on 10 right now.
Well, dude, touching on that, so let me tell you a funny story. You ready? So I'm young, right? And I'm in college, my first year in college, and edibles.
I hear the accent come out when you say college.
Okay. Yeah. Florida. Right. And so you're talking about, that's the thing I like is controllable edibles. Pack odds and me will actually eat edibles now, because we know that what we're eating is 10 milligrams. Yep. So we took a QP of fire homegrown herb at the time. This is 2002. And we, in my fraternity house, we cooked it down in a crock pot, made butter with it. And then we made one big batch of brownies. Okay. We made it for the whole fraternity. And I don't know what I was thinking, but we ate them. And then I had to go to work. I worked at a nightclub. Okay. I worked the front door at a nightclub. I was the guy who clicked how many people walk in the door to make sure if the fire guy came, I'm like, no, we're good. We're good. Mm-hmm. Okay. So we eat these brownies. And then I realized like, oh shit, I got to put a suit on and go to work. Right. We each ate a fucking massive brownie square. Like, I mean, bigger than you would normally eat for dessert, which was stupid. Right. You'd think like you should probably eat less than normal. Yeah. I don't know why, but, and they tasted like horrible weed. You know, you're like, everyone's smiling, saying they like it. Like, no, I like weed stuff. Like, gagging, you know? And I remember being at work and this thing was like floating in the ocean, and I caught a wave. I started to float, and the next thing you know, I'm like fucking skyrocketing through and I was like, I'm so fucking high. I literally, dude, I'm clicking people in the front door. I had to walk around the side of this huge nightclub called Roxy in Orlando, and I projectile vomited like in the bushes, right? And then walked straight back up to the front door and kept clicking people. I didn't know where I was, right? I turned pale white. They came up to me and they were like, hey, are you okay? And I was like, no, I need to go. And they were like, yeah, we can tell. Like, you're white. You're literally white. And I was like, yeah. And my big brother in the fraternity had to call somebody to come pick me up. I had to leave my car there because I was so fucked up. I couldn't even walk to get to my car. I was like, someone's got to pick me up right here on the side. Like, I was standing clicking, and that's all I could do was click and stand. That was the most I was getting done. God. I made it home, went into a coma, woke up the next day and was like, did I get fired? And they were like, nah, bro. They told me some stories about people like G'ing out and stuff. They're like, you're all right, bro. Pop brownies are all right. Like, you're good. Yeah. But like, what a fucking experience with edibles. And that's, they're so different now.
But now with hash rosin edibles that are out there, it's a game changer.
It's interesting.
It
is. You can tell
it's a better high.
It is. It's a better high.
It is. It's clean. I like to say it's clean.
Yeah. I haven't tried the Jungle Boys new gummy edibles. Are those hash rosin?
I didn't even know they had any yet.
I think they are.
I think they are hash rosin. Those are probably gonna be dank as fuck.
710 Labs just dropped theirs too.
Yep.
They have a little 710 or whatever. They look
probably good. I mean, it's honestly, I've taken some of the edibles and I love them, and they're not too strong. Like, you could tell, like, back in the day when someone took an edible, like your experience, like, bro, you're fucked up.
You look like you
got to just chill.
Your day's over.
You're on drugs.
Yeah. You know, everybody can find their own little balance, especially if you allow them to have the small dosages of like 5 milligrams per little gummy. That allows somebody to say, hey, I'm good for 10, or I'm good for 50, you know, or I only want 5.
That's what I'm
like. Good for 50.
Yeah. I'm good for 50 myself. 50
dude. Like, anything over 50, I'm like 3
so
times
pack odds is about 50. Where are you at?
What?
LA Family Farms. What are you, when you're doing an edible, what about milligram are you shooting for?
I'll usually take the whole thing.
So what? So whatever it is.
Whatever it is, I'll take. Yeah, like the Kiva bars, I've eaten the whole Kiva bar,
Holy shit.
but I've also eaten half the bar and quarter bar. But eating a whole one, you're not smoking all day.
Yeah.
I mean, but you're fine.
What about
fine.
you? What,
Yeah,
George?
I mean, for the chill pill, because in the facility, we're not allowed to smoke.
yeah.
So the only thing I can do is I take my 50 milligrams 3 times a day.
Oh wow. So
So
you're 3 times a day. 50.
He'll take rosin pills.
It allows me.
Oh,
so I
wow.
make my little capsules basically, and then I get it tested, and then I have them made for myself. So I like a high THCA.
What you? 40 you? 90 you? Do you have a special you that you put?
No, I just use whatever I have left over that's undesirable.
Damn, that's
and then,
cool.
And then I go ahead and I receive it, and I basically like using the same microns to clean it up. And then I do my slow infusion because I like a high THCA. So usually I'm taking 3 times the THCA compared to the THC, the psychoactive property. So if I have 50 milligrams THC in that capsule, that means that I'm usually going to be taking about 150 THCA, which is non-psychoactive, but it's really good for your anti-inflammation. I'm on my feet all day. The hallways, dude, are freaking long.
Concrete floors.
Like we
everywhere.
are running. We're not just walking and just looking at flowers. I mean, we're hustling, dude. We got pre-rolls going on. We got trimming going on. We got washing going on, pressing. I mean, it's a running.
factory.
And then you take down an 81 light room like we
Yeah.
did yesterday.
yeah.
so-
Carrying shit.
So
Wow.
for me, I call them my chill pills. It allows me to keep chill and not have to stop and smoke. I'm a heavy smoker, dude. So, and you know how it is. If you don't get to smoke, what happens?
I get agitated.
Oh, yeah.
I'm very quick to be like, you didn't get that fucking done yet?
We've
So,
been smoking
chill
for
pill.
2 hours.
Yeah.
You see
already.
my point? That's why it's the chill pill.
That's a good point.
Man, you might have to bring something like that to market for the brand. That's dope. I like that a lot.
So, and a lot of the people who, like a lot of our buddies that work with us, they rely on it too. And we're not trying to get high.
Everybody needs a chill pill for
We
real.
just want to be able to get the job done
Yeah.
without being in pain and with being focused and not being agitated. Because I mean, we do a lot of detailed shit and we are on each other. We're like, no, dude, you got to do it again. And the key to that is we as people have to learn how to take and understand criticism and not be so quick to be so defensive.
We just went through that yesterday.
Yeah, we just got to be able to teach people not to be so defensive. And all of us are naturally defensive. If somebody says, hey, you didn't do it good enough or not the way we wanted to do it, you're like, well, I thought I was doing it the best I could do it. And it's like, maybe we're just asking you to do more because we believe you can do better. And just because you thought that was where your level of what you were looking to do, we actually think you can do better than that. And when you start to look at things in that sense, you're no longer being defensive. And now you're like, all right, we're going to the next level here. All right, let's go.
Yep,
And
this
then
is
you
what
take it on a whole nother path versus a direction of, oh man, they didn't like what I did. So it is a mindset, and team players like an all-star team. We're like an all-star team. We're only as good as the weakest player on our team. If they're not in it to win it like us, guess what? We're going to lose out in that corner.
There's not many positions in this facility, so we need to fill it with people that are more like us in like seeing the bigger goal that we have here. And if we can find people like that, it's what we want. And I think no matter what, we're going to get there.
That's
No,
the hardest
absolutely.
part.
Yeah.
You guys are there.
Yeah.
Up in December, and we're already smoking on fire. Now I'm looking forward to the 1 year anniversary coming around. We might have to come out and shoot a special or
So
something.
I have a lot of good strains coming. A friend that's going to give us.
What's that one that you brought that we rolled up that was like, smells like Skittles, but looks like Gelato 41 or was in the jar, the big
Zero.
glass.
We're calling that sheesh.
Oh man,
Sheesh.
dude.
Sheesh.
There it
That
is.
one is so fire.
That's a pheno hunted cut from Gelato 41, Sure BX1, Sea Junkie. Shout out to Sea Junkie.
Man, shout out to
his
you. That
gear-
is a fire
gear.
cut, bro.
Great terps on that one.
That shit's insane.
It's
I like it.
different.
It's different.
It
It's different.
smells like if you took 80 to 90% Skittles and then mixed it with 20% of some 41, but then the look is kind of a little bit of both, but not.
Exotic.
I mean, it's fire,
Exotic.
bro. Real
Yeah.
different. People.
Well, it's Gelato 41, and I think he says a Sure BX1, Sure male.
wow. So that sweetness is not from Skittles.
There's no Skittles in there. So, but you get a
Jeez.
lot of like the other phenos we have. You get a lot of like candy kind of gassy terps, like that purple, the number
Absolutely.
8. That's pretty fucking terpy.
Candy gas is the name.
The cold
That's
snap
the
you guys got is crazy.
Cold snap from Y East. Yeah, that's dank. We have a couple phenos, a 10 and a 14 that we really like. It's just different. I just want to keep bringing different stuff. I hunt it. We're looking to get into a little bit of breeding only for washing for right now. Because, breeding, Lance, this is a whole nother respect to all those breeders out there. It ain't easy.
It's like starting making hash all over again. It's just another process where you're like, all right, here we go for a year or two. You ready?
And then hunting
Let's
all
go.
that gear.
Oh, man. The pheno hunts not only are in seed form, it comes in hash form.
Yeah.
So not only are we smoking the pheno hunt and for the palate on the table, we have to wash these phenos.
Jeez.
And it's not easy to wash 16 different little batches.
No.
Shout out to our team.
Yeah. We're running, we're washing Gelato, Skittles and Gelato, which is from Green Fire Genetics. I know that's a supposedly runs cross, but we wanted to hunt something that had that cross in it to see what we found. And we found like some pineapple terps. We also found some mostly pineapple and skittly pineapple-y terps. There's like some just different shit in there. Nothing gelato actually, but more on the Skittle side, shorter plants.
Very, there's something to be said for them. We got to try them all out.
Yeah.
It sounds fire. It sounds fire.
We got to sit around the table and smoke them.
I mean, that's some levels right there.
I just popped the dark rainbows, which is rainbow belts and GMO. I'm looking forward to
bred that?
Archive Seeds.
Okay.
Wow.
So we're looking forward to that.
Wow. Dark rainbows.
I'd like to be able to take that and breed it to papaya and just kind of breed it to our garlic juice and all these strains. I mean, we're getting this honey banana cut, which is what I'm looking forward to the most right now.
That's a great cut. I've smoked that from Professor Sift.
Yeah.
Callie Sifco.
Yeah.
He grows that strain, and Callie Sifco will sometimes press it, and I've had it.
It's not an easy strain to get.
Beautiful. It's full straight bananas.
It's not
beautiful.
plentiful too. It's not like a cut that you can get anywhere. Certain nurseries can get that for you,
Yeah, it's hard to get, and it's a great flavor, and it supposedly washes really well.
It washes well, and I've seen some flower of it. With this particular pheno, it looks amazing.
Wow, even the flower did.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, that's why I want this one.
Man, that's awesome. See, that's the next trifecta, right? To have a strain, that's what growers are going for, where it's good as flower, but then also washes.
Right. And then be able to bring that to the market so they can actually see, look, this is the flower and this is the rosin.
We're going to do a whole room, 81 light room of rainbow belts here soon. We're planting that in a couple weeks. But to be able to have a strain that can actually produce flower that people may want, even though it's not purple, it has the terp. All the Skittles guys out there, which is mostly the connoisseurs that I all know, want that terp, like that Skittles or gelato.
I agree.
I do.
Everyone I know does.
On the daily.
And that shit ain't going anywhere anytime soon. Nothing. I mean, look at the Zushi brand. Shout out to Zushi brand, 10 Company.
Big shout out Zushi.
Those guys fucking have great terps on a lot of their stuff. It might not be that, super blingy all the time. I mean, it is. It's really dank weed. And it's just that they're searching for terps.
It just doesn't. You're not going to get an Oreos look.
No,
you know what I'm saying. On
that's
a Skittles
it.
cross. Like, come on, man.
Yeah,
and that's why people have to. It's just like people have to relate strains to people. When you meet a girl, she's not like your other girl, or she's not like your other, but like she's different, and there's a reason you love her. There's the reason you like your friend, right? It's your homeboy. He's not like your other homeboy. He's different. That's why he's your other friend.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with strains when you buy them, man. You're taking the good with the good, and then, oh, I wish it was purple. Yeah, well, fucking get the cut and grow it yourself, But I just appreciate what you're getting, because like you said, man, you probably went through how many seeds too. You're not chasing down one pack of seeds, I'm guessing. So that just shows you, man.
But I'm constantly hunting.
Yeah.
I'm hunting a lot of compound genetic gear right now, actually.
Oh, dope. Shout out to him.
He's killing it right now with cookies. All their crosses.
I'm hunting the Violet Fog. Yeah.
Good name.
Which is Khalifa mints and grape gasoline. I'm also hunting their pink grapes, which is pink runts and grape gasoline. The cold snap, which is the guys that you have, that's also like, I think it's compound Y East kind of combo there. There's some different shit there. I mean,
Super
a menthol
fire.
terp, It's not that I don't want the same shit all the time. It's there's a lot of redundant stuff going around right now that's just renamed and just a different form of gelato or sherb or this or that,
100%. We've seen it when we buy in like certain boxes or competitors and stuff, is that you're able to see 15 different companies. And you are right. A lot of them are growing very similar terpenes.
Very similar.
That runts terps.
Yeah.
That purple.
Yep.
But sweet.
Yep.
Right. But no gas.
Yep.
Now the next wave is the gas with that.
Yeah.
We need that. We need, we're starting. It's just the next progression.
Oh yeah. We've been going.
It's all evolution.
Yeah. That's why I think some of these sunset runts are pretty good. I know I'm hunting a lot of stuff that has runts crosses. We have a pheno aid from Pheno Addicts.
You guys are going through some black leaf gear.
We are. We're going to be hunting some of the GMO crosses that you gave me. And then also
Fruity
the
Pebbles.
Fruity Pebbles S1. I'm really, really looking forward to see what the lineage is, because that's bag seed. Like that shit is probably, in my opinion, untouched compared to everything else.
It should be some really, you're able to look into the past a little bit more.
You're going to see generations and see what's really in that lineage. And you might find a lot of stuff like the Fruity Pebbles, or you might find stuff that's just so much better. You never know.
100%.
You never know.
He's going to see some really trippy shit in there, because I think too, out of all of it, there was only like maybe 16 packs of it total of the S1s. So I think he got 3 or 4 of them.
I mean, the Fruity Pebbles, in my opinion, was some of the, when I first started buying in the rec market, that was some of the stuff I bought. And that's why when I tracked you down at like one of the Kush Talks or one of the High Times events in like Riverside, I just want to say, like, I really liked it a lot.
Dude, thank you. I still appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I'm trying to get that cut for years, man.
It's a good one, man. It was a good one. I still couldn't believe it when we popped it from seed. And that first run in, I was like, holy shit.
It seems like a lot of the fire in the market right now that's popped up has came from bag seed.
A lot.
Why do you think that is?
What do you think Runts is?
That's what I'm saying. Like, even Skittles, like,
you're telling me Runts crew didn't breed Runts?
No, I don't think. Look, in Skittles, was that bred? I don't know. I don't want to say it was or wasn't.
Who knows?
Who knows?
I don't even think they know.
It's like, I imagine if it was bred, there would have been lines created of all that at that time. Like, you would have bred line upon line upon line with Skittles. Everyone else did.
Or told me exactly what made it, besides, I think, grapefruit or something that they've said.
Yeah.
Who knows?
So why do you think it is bag seeds that are, you're getting so much fire from
this is just my opinion. I don't want to create any fucking tension anywhere. Just like, if you're going to create a line, if you're going to create something like Skittles, you probably would create more lines of it. Everyone else did. Everyone I know is bred with it.
It's one of the best strains around.
It is.
I give big ups to them for even having it and procuring it. They're awesome crew.
The Skittles, that strain is legendary.
Amazing.
Legendary.
It's changing the game right
However,
now.
it was brought to the forefront, whether it was bred or it was bag seed, they found it.
And they bred with it after the fact too.
They did. Did they?
Oh, they've definitely used it in crosses.
I'm sure
I think
they
now.
have.
Yeah. Because I've bought some crosses. We chased down a bunch of stuff. Orange Skittles. We chased down a bunch of SFV times Skittles. Big ups to them.
You can never pay attention to what everyone is doing. I'm trying to focus on what I'm doing.
Oh, it's forever.
But
it's hard when you're in the facility.
They really, that strain is truly legendary, and it's hard to grow. You grow it.
Very difficult.
It's hard to grow.
Top 2 or 3 in my whole career of 18 years. I've grown probably 1,000 plus strains. I'd give it top 1 or 2. I can't think of anything harder.
Yeah. If you grew facilities, I'm talking facilities of Skittles, that shit would sell out all the time.
You're like the guy who likes to go home and get beat. That's the type of person who would want to grow facilities of Skittles.
You would never have to worry about selling that ever.
No, you're right.
Ever in your life. If you grew, even now, gelato, if you grew only gelato, you'd be able to get rid of it, because every brand wants gelato, and gelato will just have its 7-year anniversary recently.
I saw that.
Gelato is another staple strain in Western cannabis. Agreed. It's up there. If there was a Mount Rushmore, it's on there.
Yeah.
With Sunset Sherbert, OG's up there.
Yep.
What other strains are up there?
Sheesh, man. on a Mount Rushmore.
We got to have a Mount Rushmore right here in this beautiful studio.
Yeah. A cookie,
right?
Cookie would be up there.
Strain.
I would say a Chem Dog would probably be up there.
I would say
an OG.
Maybe a Sour Diesel.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's gonna have to be more than
Staples,
4.
you know, staples like flavors, like
that
different profiles.
That really was like has been like people have been growing millions of plants of sour D. I mean, think about it.
I just got the cutback.
Yeah, I mean,
so what? That's a sour animal. I mean,
sour D and animal cookies. You know what I mean? Yeah, so two legendary strains right there.
We're not seeing them straight anymore, but we're seeing the remixes
best pheno
of all these things.
Out of the 2 of them cross.
So you're right. It will come for full circle for the originals to.
You want to hear something crazy about that cut? That cut actually herms. It is so good.
Right.
The flower is so good.
It's so dank.
I go in there and my crew goes in there. I grow it in small batches, but when we do, I go in there at week like 10 day 10 to like day 15, 16, and we take off everything at the bottom. No, before bananas.
Okay, good.
We take off everything where could be. We strip the whole plant like almost half of it. So you can't have any, if you strip the nanners and any kind of pods that potentially could arise, you won't get any seeds. It's still a herm plant, but you can still use it. And that's how I've found a way around this. But I can't do facility room 81 lights of a room like that. It's not realistic. You don't want seeds in your weed. But, you know, also another real thing about this industry, no one ever talks about seeds. It's a real thing in this industry. And people, like, if you find seeds, you know, if you have a bud that has 10 seeds in it, I get that. But, you know, to find a seed here and there, it's like a lottery ticket.
It's a present.
It's a present.
You have a blessing.
But also you could have a lot of seeds in certain batches. It's just like, sometimes you're like scratching your head as a grower going like, what's causing this? Is it heat stress? Is it EC? Is it, who knows? Is it not enough runoff? Like who fucking knows?
Sometimes it's it could have happened in clone form. It could have been when you cloned it, it had stress early teen, and now it's carrying out late in the veg.
You know, there's a lot of different reasons why this could happen. We could talk like hours about this, what's the reason, but the fact of it is it does happen.
Yeah.
You know,
you're growing a plant.
Yes.
It's not perfect.
That plant naturally, you know, you talk a lot about this.
That's its natural life cycle. I mean, the plant naturally wants to be reproduced, and it knows that it's going to die and it's going to produce seeds. That's its whole life purpose. I mean, when the plant sees that it's about to die, it has the beauty of the only female plant that it can actually say, I'm going to save myself and actually sacrifice myself, but self-pollinate and attempt to leave another generation behind.
And not every plant uptakes exactly the same. We can see that through graphs on a strain that might, you know, that sitting right next to each other, that plant might drink more than this one. We see that in big, large scale rooms. So maybe that plant is not drinking as much, but it's getting water the same as everything else. And now it's being overwatered or underwatered or whatever it is. And now the stress in that plant could cause that plant to actually produce a seed. So it's like, it's a real thing.
It is.
And it's like,
you're talking about minute changes too, and things that people don't even understand. And they're like, oh, there's a seed. He didn't do his job.
They don't get it.
No,
they don't get it. And when I found, look, I saw you years ago, you were buying gushers or you're going to all the shops and buying, and you were like grinding seeds up.
Runts.
Was it runts?
When runts first dropped.
Oh yeah.
They had dropped.
How many seeds you found?
Like, I think in 8/8 we had like 40.
Okay, so that's completely
in an ounce. That's 8/8 or so an ounce.
You were trolling.
That's completely unacceptable in my opinion, because
it was wild. I'd have been straight smoking.
You know,
seeds.
As a distributor or as a grower, that shit is seeded that much.
Now let me spin your head even more. When I popped all the seeds, every single seed was a different pheno, meaning that it wasn't from stress. They straight up had a pollination project going on, and the whole thing was just pollinating.
So they had a male in the room. Possibly.
I'm guessing it was probably greenhouse herb and
kind of blown by the wind.
I mean, it couldn't. How can you get that many seeds? That variation.
So you didn't find anything.
I mean, no. And I chased them all down. We didn't find one good thing, and they all were mediocre, like the offspring, and they were all very different from each other. It looked like if you took a male, and crossed it with a bunch of females, it didn't look like a reversal where everything was kind of somewhat like, oh, this kind of smells. Every single plant out of the 17 females I ended up blooming were all completely different, all non-keepers.
Did you find males?
No, herms. Bunch of herms.
No, but no males, no full-on males.
No males.
Okay, so that's rare to find a male. I've never found a male in any bag seed I've ever popped. And that including from when I first popped them in 1995, because those are the first seeds I ever popped in my life. Never found a male, but people have claimed to have found males in bag seed.
So then maybe it was from a herm issue, because then there would have been a male if it was from a male.
Ideally, that would be
so
ideal.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
So that's how bad things were then. I went into cookies. I bought the 1/8 of runts, went into the car. We rolled it up because we were going to go get lunch. We found like 6 seeds in 1/8. The first 8, it was like 6 or 7. And I was like, wow, that's a lot. I was like, hold on a second, man. I ran back in and bought my limit, which was the ounce for whatever it was, came back and I was like, we're going to do a video and put it up on my Instagram and broke all of it down, because I was like, this isn't a lot of seeds. Like I mean, you buy an 1/8, you expect 2 seeds, maybe at the most, if they had an issue, not like 8, 9. And in the end, I think out of 8/8, it was somewhere in the 30 to 40 seed range.
Yeah. When I was hunting my sunset runts, the number 12 had nanners and it wasn't spotted. So some of like the number 10 keepers that I have, the 11, it was fucking dank weed. But sometimes I grind on and I find a seed, but there was no nanners on that plant. So even when that happens, we don't release that weed. We can make it into pre-rolls. We can do whatever we want with that. But it's like, if we know there's seeds, and as a cultivator, you know if there are seeds in your weed and you know if there's not. To find a seed here and there, we get that.
One of my best runs ever. Like one of my great runs. We're growing in the warehouse seeded, and we're chasing down a bunch of new strains. And I had already said there's no males we had already chased it down once. So this was my second run, and I put a plant in that. I guess I just didn't check if it had some herm nugs, and it was such a big plant. The lower part hermed, all 17 lights full of seeds. And I mean, not somewhat seeds. I mean, like every nug had like 150 seeds in it. And so I didn't honestly see it totally. And so I didn't see it at all. So we sent it to the trimmers to start hand trimming. And I get a call from Pack Gods, and he's like, bro, there's seeds in this weed. And I'm like, oh, really? And he's like, not a little, like a lot. Like I mean, laden with seeds. And we ended up just having to, I wish I would have kept some of the seeds, but we just turned it all into extracts. But it was such a disappointment. I was such a letdown. It was a big L.
Mm-hmm. Big L from Big L, man.
But then, I'm saying, you make the best of it. Run. But people don't understand, like, you're chasing down all these phenos. You guys are single sourced. Yes. You're chasing down strains. You're taking losses left and right. No matter how good you are at it, there's always strains. You're like, this is garbage. This is shit. This one didn't yield. Look at this weird thing. And this is a herm.
This is all based off of one run.
There you go.
So we talk about this a lot. We're like, how many dank ass strains we've probably thrown away. Yeah. Just because it didn't perform in the one condition that we wanted it to grow in.
Straight up.
I kick myself now sometimes.
But at the same time, we're like, how many got, at the same, you're trying to get the one that performs the best in the condition that you can provide it.
A 10. You need a 10.
Yeah, for real.
For
you don't got space for. And we're constantly pushing the envelope.
I say now 9s or 10s. If it's not a 9 or a 10, it doesn't stay.
You're only doing 9s and dimes.
Yeah.
Yep, there you go.
And then it allows you to take that 9 or 10 to help you, take it to the next level now.
100%.
At least you feel confident. Hey, I got a good starting position.
Yes.
All right, we're going to go with this one. And that's the thing that we sit around and we talk about. You guys do the pheno hunts and you smoke them out, and then you do all the taste testing, and you do it based on your liking and your crew. You rely on our flavor, and that's the big thing. We're big gas fans, and we know that the palate today has that fruity the what do you call it, the candy gas, right? And so a lot of the stuff that you see that we are trying to hunt, we're trying to bring that out. And like the garlic juice, if you got to smell that one's probably the gassiest, dankest, but it also has like this sweet hint in the back. And that's something that we hunted specifically to get that, that sweet gas. The same thing with the sour animal. Oh man, the sour animal, in my opinion, is probably the one that will slap you the hardest. And if you look at the logo, it has like this animal paw just coming at you, because a lot of people, this is the sleeper. When you look at it, the terp is super quiet. But when you smoke it and you taste it, it literally coats the inside of your mouth. And then after a few minutes, you are just in another world. You're like, whoa, what just happened? Where did this take me to? So that's that one. And then the golden papaya is the papaya is the kosher kush with the papaya.
Ooh,
So-
gas.
Damn.
It's got the kick and the gas of the kosher kush, the OG, right? With the papaya, that sweetness of it. So that we've always kept that in mind. And that's a lot of the stuff that we were chasing. I'm talking about. With
I love
the
it.
gas and the candy.
Yeah, we
I
have
love
a,
it, man.
candy
a
gas.
pheno-aid, which is melonade and runt,
Oh, wow.
which is smells like melons. Remember that?
Yes.
Damn,
That
that
was
sounds
nice.
good,
We just
man.
did a pheno hunt of the pheno aids.
We're gonna run that in the next room with fresh frozen, just a small batch of it to see how it. We want to run it a couple times to see how it turns out, rather than just going full fledged on something and then being like, oh, I don't know if I like it that much,
Oh, man. Yeah, isn't that the truth?
you know. So it's like, because we just washed the Zelatos. We washed the pheno-aid a couple months ago, so we know we're gonna try that again.
We haven't even smoked any of them, but they're all dank. I mean, it's
Did you press them?
They're all pressed and ready to be smoked.
Are those also going to go out as flowers to the market or
No,
no?
that's just for the homies.
Wow.
We're gonna basically.
It's research and development.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Love
Straight
it.
up.
I mean, you got to know.
You got to.
That's awesome, man. That's fucking
Part of the
killer,
job.
bro. It is.
That's right. It's a tough job. Not anybody can do this.
No, literally though, at the literal sense though.
It does. It makes all the
It's
difference.
a passion-driven business
It is.
because
it can be.
Everyone thinks year one, yo, we're about to be in the millions.
Yeah.
we're going to the moon.
They literally
Straight up.
think like
year one, like we're gonna, you know how much money we're gonna have.
they're mining for gold.
Man, it's like 10 years later, and you're like, yo, finally that refrigerator paid off, and now we're in a damn facility. That's crazy though.
It's
That
so
refrigerator got us to the facility. The facility is built based on that damn little ice box that we worked hard in hell, man. We used to
That's
do
crazy.
3 o'clock in the mornings, dude, and just getting the water tanks and all kinds of getting the plumbing, and it was good times.
Working with
in
the
there.
city of LA is probably the toughest thing I've ever had to do. Toughest thing we've
Out of
ever
all
built.
this.
Toughest thing we've ever built for sure.
wow.
Because it's they don't make it easy, and especially during we were building all through COVID. It wasn't easy.
That's
Those
insane.
people that didn't come, we had to put up certain stations with like hand sanitizing stations. Everyone had to wear masks. It's
We
like
had to redesign the trim room because of the 6-foot distance. We had to cut down
Oh
the
my
ability of
gosh.
workstations. So we couldn't have a full house based on the original plans just because of the 6-foot distancing.
And I didn't buy the building, but I'm renting it. So you're still paying on this the whole time. And, you're building, it's costing money, and, you're stressed out because, we didn't know how we were going to do this. We just did it.
Straight up.
Literally.
I mean, that's how you do it though.
Yeah.
People don't get that part.
Yeah.
That's the faith.
Like on this podcast, like seriously, we were just talking about like the first few episodes, we were like at Airbnbs, and then we had this empty office, and we just popped up a fold up table with wizard trees and did it, because everybody knows that coming from this, not like he came and judged us for that either. He knows like damn well, like, yo, you got to do what you got to do to get going.
Mhm.
And then you figure it out. Now we're in the studio and shit.
it
and
looks dope
we'll
as
keep
fuck in
building
here.
and we'll
Hell
keep, it's the same thing like that in any business or anything you do, whether
Of
it's
course.
building a house, a facility,
a
or
brand
making hash, you know what I mean?
or a brand.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I think
man.
there's a lot
crazy
of
and
things
dope,
you
man,
could
that
do
you
with
guys
this
did it.
podcast. It's limitless. Like in cannabis.
We just smoked about 2 ounces on it.
Yeah.
I mean, the jars you guys brought, all the stuff
Holy
you guys brought,
fuck.
insane.
These
The
guys are light.
Zulato,
Appreciate that.
I love the Zulato.
Zulato.
No, that's the new one we haven't. We need to do
Zelato.
a whole phenotype
Zelato.
on it.
I like this peach pie.
We had that. I gave you the rainbow belts.
You got to
with rainbow
have
belts
to
rosin.
name a few too for sure, because the crosses are crazy. But dude, every
Big
joint I
terps.
smoke's fire.
We're
All
about to
burning
smoke
white,
2 more.
all white ashes.
Oh, I mean, I'm loving everything, and it's different. This isn't like any other joint I've smoked on the market with this mouthpiece, with the strain, with the single source rosin. That's then
And it
the
burns
flower.
super slow too.
It does.
It does. It burns
This
really
man,
slow.
this is a celebration joint right here, man. I smoked this, and all I could think about was like, I really enjoy this. Like, I would love to smoke one of these a day. If I had
Yes.
one of these every day, I'd be stoked.
I'm vibing
Yeah.
all like the hash
Like
hole
us.
wave. I'm loving that whole thing.
I am
like,
too.
and it's like you said, it's for the everyday smoker that you want to come home at the end of the day light that
It's a
up.
job
so you
well
can
done.
Still get lit.
It's like your after dinner drink or your after work drink where you want, some people are going to pour up
End
a
of the
cheap
day,
bourbon, but not like us, Pat God's, LA Family Farms, Blackleaf, everybody. We want something nice at the end of the day. This is that.
And at the end of the day, we all like each other's weed. We're all very judgmental of our own weed. We critique our own weed. We don't like it. My brother half the time doesn't like the weed he has, but like we show it to people like, oh my God, this is amazing. It's like,
I totally understand.
We feel like
I'll say this is everyone's very hard on themselves.
Yeah. And that drives us to become better, and that's really, it's
a never ending journey.
It is.
It's never ending. We're never just satisfied.
Exactly.
It's a never ending. Like we know we can do better.
We got to keep the healthy competition going strong within this community and within this industry, because ultimately cannabis is built off community coming together. Because otherwise it could have never
got to this
point. Cool, it's a culture, dude. Everybody's pushing each other to the next level. We see what you guys are doing, and we're like, man, they're doing it. We want to do it too. And it's like motivation, really, what it comes down to, dude. It's like you're looking at badass players, and you want to fucking be a badass player, and you want to play hard because you know what it takes, and that's the respect that we have for looking at you guys, and we're just like, damn.
But you have to bring consistency.
That's the hardest part. Consistency is the hardest part.
That's everything.
I found that for the two biggest journeys for me was going from growing in houses to growing in warehouses. That was a big leap of understanding how the room has to perform and what has to happen in this room for it to actually mimic. I didn't understand. I knew growing in a room at a house, right? I knew all that. I knew what I needed to do to grow in that room at the house. When I went to a warehouse and actually sealed the room off and then started to change the different strains and the amount of water I'm pushing through that room, that was my biggest change. And I mean, you guys are crushing that, bro. Your warehouse, I look at the pictures and I dream, like, just like he's saying, healthy competition. That's all I can think of is like, oh man, that's goals right there, man. A fucking room that looks like that. Like, you guys are killing it, bro.
Appreciate that. Appreciate the love.
Shout out to Mo and Jackie and the
whole damn family.
The hardest part of honestly building a brand is the whole branding and everything. You're great at it and you're successful at it. But for us, there's so many moving parts. I mean, the whole behind the scenes on what happens with the branding is the toughest part of all this, of all of it, because none of us know about how to build a company as like brand company. We don't go to college for that. It's like, we're only anticipating, scratching our head. Well, it looks great on a bag. This might look great. It's like, and all these different bags that people are coming out. It's like, sometimes it's almost overwhelming.
It is,
It's like, damn, there's so much. You walk into a shop, it's like, there's 80 brands, 100 brands. There's all these different bags and jars, and you don't even know what to get.
And most of the time, the bag ends up in the trash. You smoke the weed. And that was the biggest decision that we had to make, because you see the competition out there. They got a whole new bag logo for every strain they put on the table.
Yeah.
And it's just, in our opinion, we're just like, that's a lot of time and effort and money that's not into growing the weed. And a lot of those companies who have all the fancy packaging, guess what? They're not growing the weed.
Yeah, exactly. It's tough. And there definitely needs to be like a signature of like, this brand actually grows this herb. These other brands, this is all white label product. And it's tough. And I think, man, that's why we have this podcast too, is educating the consumer, not even just don't do this and don't do that. Just know that what you're smoking, this is what it really is. Or like, hey man, what you like, just like today, man, I'm blown away now. I learned so much about fresh press versus cold cure. My mind is flipped around all the shit I thought before.
You should come see how it's made.
That'd be
because when you see how it's made, you like, damn, this is how it's really done. Like, this is a lot of work. Like, holy fuck. I didn't think it was this detailed and physical. And
we need to bring the first smoke of the day crew through there. We need to bring our audience through there, man. Even if we just give them snippets and show them behind the scenes hash making day.
Come film and show the people what really, why rosin is so expensive and why we want to price it obviously lower than the competition because, you know, we can afford to. We make everything in house. You know, and I'm also we're not trying to make the most and squeeze every fucking drop out of this lemon, you know?
Yeah.
We just want everybody to smoke our weed.
Yeah. We just want people to smoke it. Just like the Fruity Pebbles that you grow, bro, you could give that to anyone and put it in a joint. Like, damn, that tastes amazing.
Yes.
Like that, you could grow that, like you say in the other room, like you grow all these other strains and this one particular guy is like, hey, I just want the, you know,
Fruity
Skittles
Pebbles.
was great. Yeah. Fruity Pebbles.
Ed Bassmaster.
For me too.
Yeah.
I love the Dirty Sprite. I love the fucking Presidential. I smoked the shit out of the Presidential, you know.
But there's one that stands out above the rest.
Yeah, because it's so different.
And that's the
Ed
thing. Says the same
it's
thing.
so different.
Yeah. I have a funny relationship like with a really funny comedian, and I first gave him some Fruity Pebbles and he was like, dude, this is the best weed I think I've ever had. And I was like, you know, people big up you. You're like, oh, thank you, bro. But, you know, I got some, and I've tried to give him other kinds before. And he's always like, no, this is fire. What's up with the Fruity Pebbles, bro? Like, and it doesn't matter. Like,
Go back to the basics.
I was like, I'm going to blow him away with some Skittles. I fucking had a gnarly batch of Skittles. And I was like, I got it. He was like, that was good. But, that Fruity Pebbles, bro. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm done then. I'm done.
Back to what C was saying, you know, bag seed. I mean,
that's crazy.
Wow.
That is a prime example of like what bag seed really is in this industry. You know, whether all the other strains that we run today is bag seed, but a lot of the white runs I think originally it was bag seed personally.
Exactly.
You
You
know?
don't even really know down the line
Yeah.
if it was a bag seed.
Yeah.
Every time I hunt seeds, I throw in all my bag seeds per hunt. So let's say like, you know, next week I pop 20 seeds. If I have some bag seeds that I've accumulated, I'll throw them in the mix and pop those as well. Anytime I get the chance, because that's how good my results are usually with them, which is scary to say. I don't know how to think about it, if it's a good thing or bad thing, but it's a thing.
The homie Fire Farmer got me the Baccio, the original clone only cut. Over the time that I've had it, I've collected a lot of bag seed from gelato. And I've been wondering like all these years, like, damn, why all these different gelatos? Now that I've been growing this for like years now, I'm like, now I know why why there's a lot of gelato bag seed out there, because that strain is so finicky. Other than OG, for me personally, and I think it's the hardest strain in my opinion to grow other than OG. And it's the most finicky, and my brother hates it.
Yeah.
And it's hard for it to come out like super dank, like every time. It's one of those strains that is like, it's really hard to get consistent. Cold snap, I get consistent. Oreos, we grow an Oreos cut from the breeder. That cut comes out consistent, but the Gelato 41, man, it's finicky, bitch.
Yeah. It is.
And there's a lot of seeds I have from it, and I want to pop those seeds because it's a lot of, there could be something stronger in there and better.
Gelato number 724.
There you go.
But I mean, but I'm not hating. I love them. I grow like 5 different ones, and I love all of them differently, and they're all different a little bit. You
can't hate
greatness
on any
is greatness.
of those.
Yeah.
I mean, our
wherever it comes from.
exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Bag seed or not, don't hate on
and
it.
greatness breeds greatness.
Appreciate.
Yeah. That's why I think like
Bag
the fact
seeds
that
are winners,
Fire Farmer is actually breeding like Thin Mint and Skittles and like all the elite
Pretty dope
strains that he
shit.
has that he's collected over the years, breeding them together and creating what he's created is genius. And it's great. And it's like,
He's
Why didn't
moving
I
at
know-
a fast pace.
he is, and he's working with a small little space, and you don't need a lot of space if you're breeding the right genetics.
I love how fast he's going. I'm
Yeah.
like blown away. I'm like, damn, dude, you've done like 7 different crosses this year.
Yeah.
And like, it doesn't matter. Other people are testing it. He's doing what he wants to do, and he's running that line, and he's
Smart.
working crosses. Like, let other
Well,
people who want to run testing test
He's
it.
using the best of the best to breed. I mean, think about that. If you were going to breed anything, you want to breed the best
best of the
shit.
best.
Yeah.
And the best of the Kush Mints and the Mac and all these strains.
Fortune.
he's
He's got all kinds.
all these
jealousy.
Strains, yeah, jealousy. He's bred with all these different strains and like the Skittles and Thin Mints, and it's turning out great. He gave me the cream, the Fortune. It's all really good, and it's all different. And that's what people want. They want different shit.
the day before our first podcast, right before we went on the podcast, he came through and we tried all the strains you're talking about. The cream, we smoked a bunch of. Yeah, we should have just been like, stay here. We'll get on the first podcast with you.
Knows weed really well. I don't have the fortune of seeing him all the time. I just see him when I'm it's hooked up. But other than that, he's
nice, really nice guy.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy.
I think so everybody's so busy and coming out of COVID. It's just dope that we can all link back up and get together and
for sure.
Thank God,
shit like this. And we'll all be in an event tomorrow night. That's really dope. I'm glad to hear
High Times Green Wolf event.
Shout out to Green Wolf, man. They're putting that together.
Night.
It's crazy because we got just to have one of those boxes and be able to try all that different herb and stuff. It's like for me a debut of like, there is rec market fire and like you can find good product out here and there's some real deal.
There's a lot of good
kill smoke. People are really pushing the limits on
I think
everything.
It was the coolest thing to see our bag in that box. That's an amazing.
Straight up.
Yeah,
that's an accomplishment.
It was.
Absolutely. That's
and thank you to
accolade.
Brian and Ace that did that for us. We really appreciate that. I'm glad we're on that. I'm happy.
Hell
to see
yeah. It's going to be a fun party tomorrow night.
Rainbow belts.
Yeah.
Fucking super dope strain. And to be honest,
that's a risky move.
It was a very, because it's not a bag appeal. It's not,
it just has no bag appeal.
It's all about how it smokes.
Yeah.
And we smoked it and straight up fire.
It was smoking.
Fire.
We're smoking that right now.
Fresh herb.
This is raw.
Well, this is over the rainbow. This is like, bro, to be honest, I'm tripping on this one.
Fire.
It's almost like a candy perfume or something.
It's fire.
It's Skittles overload. Like that shit's so man. I love that.
Kush Talk is July 3rd. We're going to be there doing Kush Talk. Hope to see a lot of people out there. We'll have rosin. We're going to drop some rosin for the first time. We've never dropped on the rec market rosin. So we're going to drop some of the stuff we have right now.
Hell yeah.
I'm excited for all your stuff coming out. I'm excited for these pre-rolls. Now that I've smoked all this, like I 100% will be headhunting some of this next time I hit the market. Like Green Wolf.
Let's do it.
Fuck yeah, man. It is awesome having you guys on the podcast, bro. I was
an honor.
Glad to have you here.
It was great being here. I had a lot of great time.
Yes, we
Much
did.
respect to you guys.
Absolutely.
Man, smoking strong.
LA Family Farms, episode 8.
Yeah.
First smoke of the day. Had God signing out.
Black Leaf
signing out. That's it, man. Wrapping up. Keep it lit every Monday morning, man. 9 a.m. Eastern. Let's go.
White Ashes.